mornings from 7 to 10. It's time to get up and get your day started. Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
Welcome in, everybody. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. Time for another edition of Sports 56 Mornings. We are always live and local, broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. Check them out at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40, getting you set for what should be a fun summer. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you on this Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. It looks like it's going to be a scorcher today. 65 right now, very comfortable. The temperature is going to rise to about 90 today. So you're going to start to feel that heat, that humidity, abundant sunshine. Then tonight, clear skies with a low of 65. And more of the same tomorrow. The temperature could be beyond the 90 mark. 91, 92, what they're calling for tomorrow with mostly sunny skies as well. Coming up on the program today, John Talty will join us at 8:25, national college sports reporter for CBS Sports and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. Will get his thoughts on the latest as far as where we are with the world of collegiate sports now after the House settlement and what it will mean, the ramifications moving forward. In fact, there's already some big news this morning that we'll get into. John Talty at 8:25. And then in hour 3, we got plenty of golf. Mickey Barker will join us for our weekly golf segment. He's the golf administrator for the city of Memphis. And then at 9:30, we head to Oakmont as everyone's getting set for the U.S. Open. Steve Sands is as well from the Golf Channel on NBC. He will join us. We do have Humdinger's Trivia today. It's Tuesday. We do it each and every Tuesday. Give you a chance to win a $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's. We'll do that as we begin the second hour of the program. We got some Memphis Tigers basketball news to get into. We got plenty from the NBA. The finals resume tomorrow night with Game 3 from Indiana. We now know all 8 teams that will be participating in the College Baseball World Series starting on Thursday in Omaha. And a easy win last night, easy night at the office for the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll take your calls and texts on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. There you go. That's your lineup for today's edition of Sports 56 Mornings. You ready for some heat? I mean, some real heat?
Yeah. Always good to sweat a little bit.
You like it.
I have no problem with it. I always say, much rather have hot than cold.
Not moi. I know I'm in the minority, but give me the cold. Not the freezing cold, not the ice cold. Just give me the, man, when you wake up in the morning and you walk outside, and there's that briskness to the air, that coolness. It feels great. When you walk outside at 7 in the morning, it's not today. Today, 65 is not bad. But you know there's going to be those days coming up very soon where you walk outside and you feel like you want to upchuck. I mean, it's like, oh, God, that heat, even at that time of the day, does some damage. And we're getting closer and closer to that. So
Beats walking out and having it be 10 degrees.
Again, I'm with you. I'm with you on 10 degrees. But give me 45, I'm fine. 50 degrees, that's fine. It feels good. There's that crispness. Everything, you wake up, here you just, you want to go to sleep. You want to take a little siesta.
Have you ever watched or seen the Savannah Bananas?
Yes. Yeah.
Like watched them, seen them, like really watched them, or just seen clips?
Seen clips.
Because I watched a little bit of their game the other night because now ESPN is showing some of their games. Mm-hmm. Like I had seen some clips of it. I had no idea the types of crowds that they draw.
Oh, yeah.
They drew, for 2 games in Charlotte, 148,000 people. Got to be honest with you. I don't understand it. How 70,000 plus are going to watch that is is a little bit beyond belief for me.
Well, here's my thought. When it first started, it didn't click right away. And it now click. My whole family wants to go see them. They're looking at the schedule, where they are, when they're playing. To me, they are the baseball version of the Harlem Globetrotters.
Well, yeah, that there's no doubt.
Right? That's what they are. They're entertainment. It's not about baseball per se, certainly not about wins and losses. They also are able to implement local to wherever they're playing, whether it be local athletes, local entertainers, local politicians, whatever, and they get them involved in the game itself. So, like you asked me, I've only seen the clips. Would I enjoy it being at a game? I think I would. Would I go out of my way to go to a game? No, I would not. But there are a lot of people that would, and it's pretty obvious with the amount of people that are going to the games that you just mentioned, at least in Charlotte.
I thought they were literally just like the Globetrotters, and that I assumed that the Bananas won every game. Like I didn't realize they were actually competing. Like there was that, like they actually lose. Like it's kind of a league, and these other teams are trying to win as well. I thought it was just like the Globetrotters. I'm like, I assumed, and when I'd seen all the clips and everything else, that the Bananas just always won the game, and they don't. It's actually a baseball game in some ways, where the other team is trying to win, and so are the Bananas, and there is actual competition. But I could understand for younger people who probably think baseball itself is really boring, like how it might be attractive to them because there is no dead time. It's not like regular baseball. I mean, they're constantly giving you something, but it's just not for me. It's just not for me. I got to be honest. I guess maybe it's because I'm too much of a baseball person, and I just can't. Like that is just like that's far from baseball to me.
They're the modern day barnstormers. That's what they are. But they do have quality players. 6 former Bananas were selected in this past year's Major League Baseball draft. 6 guys.
6 former Bananas. There's a sentence you never thought you'd utter. 6 former Bananas were selected in the Major League Baseball draft this year.
See, you don't even like a real banana.
I
bring bananas in all the time.
I will say that maybe there is something inside of me that will not allow me to like the Savannah Bananas because I cannot stand bananas in any way, shape, or form. So there may be something. But I didn't like the Party Animals, the team they were playing, either. So I don't know. Like they all kind of annoyed me.
They emphasize showmanship, fan participation, quick-paced games. They engage in dance routines, comedic sketches. It's a combination of a barnstorming team like the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings, which was a movie I saw when I was a kid, which was great. The Harlem Globetrotters, a regular baseball team because they play, as you said, and they have a lot of former athletes, especially major league players, or NFL players. In the case of Andy Dalton participated, Greg Olson participated, former NFL player, broadcaster now. So they get those guys involved. And it's been around now for 9 years. It was founded in 2016. Like I said, it didn't begin as this all of a sudden now must-see event or team. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I know it didn't have the traction that it has now. But it does now.
Like in Charlotte, they're playing in the football stadium. And, I mean, the place is full. So there's people sitting in, the top row of that football stadium. I don't even know if you'd be able to see what they're doing down on the field.
Mm-hmm. Well, they got the big screens.
And yet those people are, the place is packed.
Well,
it blew my mind that they could sell out a football stadium.
I didn't know this. Until 2022, the Bananas competed as a collegiate summer baseball team in the Coastal Plain League's West Division, where they won 3 Pettit Cup championships. I guarantee you they were not getting crowds when they were playing as a collegiate summer baseball team. But when they started to go into this format, which has only been for a couple of years, they have become the phenomenon they are. In 2023, the team moved entirely to exhibition games against their partner touring teams, the Party Animals, the Firefighters, and the Texas Tailgaters. So it's not just the Washington Generals, like the Globetrotters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I had no idea that it was actually like, again, there's multiple other teams, like they're all trying to win. Again, the Bananas lost the game the other night that I watched. Like I was like, oh, they lose. This is not Globetrotter-esque in that way. But it's and I appreciate like the athleticism of something like the center fielder the other night was like, dude, he made a catch on a fly ball while doing a backflip. Which I was like, that's just impressive stuff. Like I was like, that's like incredible. The umpires actually, like the first base umpire, he kept doing like he would do like a flip and then make the call. Like he'd look just like the play would happen, he would just do like a front flip and then make the out call. Like the dude's like something like the umpires are like athletic. It's just it's so bizarre to watch that I don't know. Like that's the thing. I don't know. It's like so strange to me that I can't really grasp it. But again, I mean, the Harlem Globetrotters have been going for how many freaking years now?
Oh,
and they
forever.
continue. Kids still love to go watch the Harlem Globetrotters, and so I'm sure this has again, ESPN just picked up, and I don't know how many games they're doing, but they're doing a certain amount of games that they're carrying now. So, good for these dudes. And if they're selling out 70,000 seat stadiums, how much are these guys making?
I have no idea, but they're obviously doing something right. Let me ask you, I didn't see the play in center field when he did the backflip, make the catch. Better catch, that catch, or the catch by Denzel Clark last night for the Oakland A's.
Denzel Clark's pretty special.
That is one of the greatest catches, and look, it's not hyperbole, one of the greatest catches I've ever seen. Obviously, people look at the history of the game and Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid, and the catch he made, and that was a great, great catch. This catch, you talk about athleticism. If you missed it, folks, you need to Google it. Go on YouTube and watch the play from Denzel Clark, the center fielder for the Oakland A's, who was pitching, by the way, because that pitcher turned around. He was like in disbelief. He was in absolute shock.
I don't know who the pitcher was.
I love the video clip, the cutaway of him. He's just like silent. Like, did he catch it? It wasn't just the reach over the fence, make a catch. The guy launched himself, twisted his body, and made the catch and came down. And the damn German judge gave him a 9.2, which I can't believe. Now, that's a perfect 10. That was one of the greatest catches I've ever seen.
No, it was, the timing of it all and the ability to, climb the wall that way and backhand it and everything else. Like that's absolutely incredible. Tiger Steve, by the way, says, my daughter went to the Bananas in Nashville, said it was awesome. $40 to get in, and it's a random draw where your seat is. That sucks if you lose the drawing and get the bad seat. I mean, it's like, that's why, like, I wonder, like, for the 70,000 at Charlotte, like, what are each of those people paying? Like, how much money are we talking about at the gate just for that?
I have no idea. Again, I have no idea. Let me see if I can find it, how much these players make. But
David says, go watch the 60-minute segment on the Savannah Bananas.
I did. I saw that. I did see that. I don't remember all the details. It says, do Savannah Banana players get paid? Well, you better believe they get paid. Yes, they get paid. The team is part of Fans First Entertainment, which operates several independent professional baseball teams, and players are recruited and compensated for their play. It doesn't say how much, but it better be a lot if they're bringing in that type of crowd.
Again, so I mean, I don't know. Again, that's $40 in Nashville, and where did they play at Nissan Stadium in Nashville? Is that where they played? I mean, if they're playing Charlotte's football stadium, I assume that's where they played.
It might be their AAA ballpark. Elijah, can you see if you can find that out where they played recently? Because I know my family wanted to go up and see them, and for whatever reason they couldn't, or they couldn't get a ticket, or it was sold out. Whatever the case may be, but yeah, and then you throw in concessions and parking. That's a lot of money that's brought in for one of these events. Now, it would come to Memphis and it'd be like 3,000.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I just, that's why I assume they draw this way all over the place. They said Charlotte was a record, but again, it's 148,000 people for 2 nights. I would hope that's a record.
That's nuts. It's the chic thing to do right now. You know, as far as sports. What do you got, Elijah?
They did play at Nissan Stadium.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way that. They would be stupid to play it and we're smaller.
My gosh.
If they're drawing 70,000 people, like you're not gonna play at a minor league ballpark and draw 8,000 people or whatever. That's a waste of your time.
God bless. They're like the Beatles at Shea Stadium or Candlestick Park. Or any major rock band like U2 when they started out filling up stadiums. Oh my gosh!
Does it have like upcoming games? Like, is it always football? Is it all football stadiums?
I can't imagine.
Or do they play like Major League Baseball stadiums?
They have to play Major League Baseball stadiums too, I would think.
Again, if you can draw 70,000, 74,000 a game, what you don't want you don't want to play anything smaller than a 70,000 seat stadium.
Yeah, they're playing at baseball fields, too, because they're playing in cities that don't have, like, NFL stadiums. Their next game is in Grand Rapids, Michigan, at LMCU Ballpark. I guess that's a minor league ballpark, so they're playing at minor league and major league ballparks as well.
They don't mind.
That seems like that would be a waste of their time.
So they don't
Everything's
mind
sold out there.
Creating a diamond and a baseball field, a configuration within Nissan Stadium, which is not used for anything but football. Maybe soccer.
Yeah, not during this time. Who cares? That's easy for them to do.
Easy fix.
Yeah.
And then take it down.
But that's in Charlotte, like left field fence was like a mile and a half. The right field fence was like a short porch because like the way they had it configured.
Well, it's like I was talking to, who was it? It might have been Stats. And we were talking, I think it was during that.
What was that stadium you said they're playing in? What was that baseball stadium?
LMCU Field.
LMCU?
Where's that?
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
The Grand Rapids, I swear there's something like what's it called? Like a lug nut? Is that what it is? On your car? See what their nickname
I think so.
See what their nickname is. This would be amazing if I remember.
Lansing Lug Nuts is it?
Oh, it's Lansing is the lug nuts. Okay, what is Grand Rapids? But anyway, I was talking with...
The West Michigan Whitecaps play there.
So I was talking to, I believe it was Stats during a Showboats game, the last Showboats, or second to last Showboats game. Maybe the last one.
Yeah, so the capacity there is 10,923. What the hell are they wasting their time at a 10,000-seat stadium for?
They probably already committed. They probably committed. So they're going to fulfill that.
They get the B team. I bet there's a B team. Like, they're like, no,
Bananas?
We're not sending the real guys there. Like... You just played in front of 74,000. Now you're going to play at a stadium that holds less than 11,000.
Yeah, but here's the thing: how many real fans of the Savannah Bananas? How many players can they name? Is there a player or two associated with the team that people know of? I can't imagine there is. Whereas with the Harlem Globetrotters, you had Meadowlark Lemon. You had Curly Neal. You had Goose Osby. You had all those guys back in the early days. And then as the years went by, you had more guys that actually you knew from basketball. From Memphis, Michael Wilson was on the Globetrotters. Keon Shine was on the Globetrotters. It was a lot different. But when I grew up, I remember Meadowlark and Curly. I don't know if people who really know the Savannah Bananas know of the actual players themselves. Let me finish my story. So we're sitting there talking. I had no idea. And I'm trying to remember now exactly if there was one game, but they had baseball games inside Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, then, of course, just the Liberty Bowl. And it was the same deal, like you said, as far as the configuration. Like left field was a bomb, and right field, you could bunt it over the fence because you're trying to jam a diamond, a baseball stadium within a football stadium.
Yeah, I mean, if a football stadium's not built for baseball, like, yeah, it creates some issues trying to put a wedge a baseball stadium in there.
Exactly. So, but there's history there of having some of those games played at the Sim, as they like to say. So anyway, there you go. All you needed to know about the Savannah Bananas, but we're afraid to ask.
Does it say what they drew in Nashville? I would assume like in Nashville that
it was sold out, 70,000.
I told you. I think they had a tough time. I found trying to get tickets.
Tiger Steve says the best hitter on the Bananas is from Memphis.
Really? Does he have a name? We have to find this now. We go into our investigative reporting mode now. I'm surprised if that's the case. How have they not done a story yet on this guy, either the DM or the CA?
Let's see. I don't know how.
And again, the roster changes every year.
Stats. How do I tell who the best hitter is? I don't see any stats here for these guys.
Well, where is that story again? I saw where 7 guys from the last draft.
We got Kyle Perry and Gage Voorhees and KJ Jackson and Ty Jackson.
Does it have their cities where they're from?
No.
Their hometowns? I don't know.
Okay, you have to click on each one.
Oh, gosh.
No,
They've gone on world tours. Now,
again, if you can draw 70,000 people on back-to-back nights in a city, yes, you.
Here's the thing, though.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. They're calling it world tour, but I don't know if they're leaving the damn country. I'm looking at the games: Cooperstown, New York, Kansas City, Tampa.
There's a guy from Nashville.
So it says in 24, the World Tour kicked off at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, which now the Rays are using. It ended 8 months later at Lone Depot Park in Miami, followed by a trip on a cruise ship to the Bahamas called Banana Land at Sea. The tour also included 5 other Major League Baseball ballparks: Nationals Park, Minute Maid, Citizens Bank in Philly, Fenway, Progressive Field in Cleveland. So they've played at a lot of Major League ballparks. 2025, so here we are. The Savannah Bananas announced that they would play games in 40 cities, including 3 NFL stadiums and 17 Major League Baseball stadiums. So the bulk is in a baseball stadium. So Nissan, we know they played in Charlotte, so I'm not sure where. Oh, Raymond James, where they played in front of a sold-out crowd of 65,000. They also played in front of 81,000 at Clemson University's Memorial Stadium this year. 81,000.
Yeah, again, I mean, I would assume that going like they're kind of dumb to play in a baseball stadium. Like, if you can draw that many people, you need to be just doing only football stadiums.
Plus,
if you're
what
going to be able
type
to get
of
70 to 80,000 people? It should be college football stadiums and NFL stadiums, like only. None of these guys on the roster list that I'm looking at have Memphis as a hometown listed.
What type of deal did they get with ESPN to broadcast the 10 games? Holy smokes, got to be a lot of money. One game in July will air on the CW, marking the first time a Bananas game is aired over the air. Wow. All right. Interesting stuff.
I listen. I respect the hell out of them for being able to draw like that. I mean, that's it's a bit insane to me that many people. I can't imagine sitting in the top row of a football stadium to watch that, but more power to you.
Whatever floats your boat, man. And you never know what's going to click with people out there for their entertainment dollars. Speaking of baseball, as we make the transition from the Bananas to a team and a school that's got to be going bananas because they're headed to Omaha, and that's Murray State. Murray State yesterday knocked off Duke in Durham to win the Durham Super Regional. They win 5-4. They win the series 2-1. They become the 8th team and final team to go to Omaha, which will feature, which is pretty amazing. You have 6 different conferences represented. The SEC, the only one with multiple, and then an independent, because Oregon State officially was not playing in any conference. They weren't playing in the PAC. They were playing independently, and they are in. So Murray State advances. What a great story from the little guys up in Murray, Kentucky, the Racers, racing all the way to their first ever College World Series. They never had been in a super regional. And when you look at the schools, yes, different conferences, but Coastal Carolina gets in. Again, Oregon State came from a power conference but was independent. Murray State from the Missouri Valley Conference. So for whatever reason, baseball, it hasn't caught up to baseball yet as far as the haves and the have-nots, because this is a nice, diverse group of programs that are going to be playing. In fact, all 8 schools that'll be playing in this year's College Baseball World Series were not in it last year. So these are 8 fresh schools. Now, some have history, like LSU and other. Oregon State's won a natty since 2010. Even Coastal's won a natty, but no repeat customers from last year. Amazing with college baseball.
Yeah, the ending of that game, very interesting last night, where they had an interference call at second base that was originally called that ended the game. So Murray State comes flying out of the dugout. They do the dog pile to celebrate going to the College World Series, only to have a review. And they say, nope, actually not interference. So it's like, everybody get back in your dugouts. We're going to redo this whole thing. And then, I don't know if it might have been one pitch. I don't care if it was one pitch or how many pitches it was to the next hitter. Then he grounds out to officially end the game. And then they get
dog pile.
It reminded me of Ole Miss storming the field twice against Georgia last year. But like, it was like I felt bad for the pitcher. You're at the bottom of a dog pile, and then they're like, hey, by the way, nope, you still got to pitch. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry, we just did that to you. But you still got to get one more out to send us to the College World Series. But the number 4 seed ever to advance, just, I mean, they're
great story.
That the pitcher that dude's got like a rubber arm. He's the guy that finished the last game against Ole Miss. I think he ended up finishing that. And then he pitched like 2 1/3 innings Sunday, came back and pitched, I don't know how much last night. Like, dude just continues to just go out there and figure out a way. But pretty incredible to see Murray State, a 4 seed, going through the teams they had to go through and ending up in the College World Series.
Congratulations to John Morant, his school. Congratulations to Ryan Miller, the new men's basketball coach, our buddy Ernie Kuiper and others. Maybe they brought good luck, but it is a wild story. It's a great story. The College Baseball World Series will get underway on, is it Friday or Thursday? Friday, right?
I think the first games are on Friday.
Arizona, Coastal Carolina, 1 o'clock Central, and then Louisville, Oregon State, 6 o'clock Central. 2 games on Friday to open up the College Baseball World Series. We will take our first time out. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
That's the whole point. It's a secret.
Why does Central Barbecue feel like they have to keep the ingredients of their dry rub a secret?
Because it's just that good. If people could find out the ingredients in Central Barbecue's dry rub, they could reverse engineer it and make their own Central Barbecue dry rub.
Reverse engineer? These aren't state secrets.
They may as well be. This is serious business. Central Barbecue already tells everybody that they slow smoke their meat for a full 24 hours over hickory and pecan, and that there's never any sauce in the pit. They're giving away too much information as it is.
They're not giving away secrets. It's advertising. They're boasting about those things.
You are so naive.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to the retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. Also stores in Cleveland, Mississippi and Little Rock. They specialize in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds. Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business. So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 904-611-01. That's 904-611-01. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house in the area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 904-611-01. That's 904-611-01. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill 904-611-01. Bill and I buy houses.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of area jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Area just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Working with a couple of minor problems out here up to this point is trying to build a little bit more volume over here on I-40 from Covington Pike. We checked it there all the way over to Watkins there at the 101 connector as traffic increases 40 east across Hernando to Soto Bridge coming over from West Memphis right now is on the increase. Dandelions, nutgrass, crabgrass, not a problem for lawn solutions here in Memphis. Give them a call today at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. Yesterday, there was the story that came out that a couple of schools had signed with private capital, or had signed private capital deals. And it was reported that two of them signed with Elevate. The schools were released. That information was released yesterday. UCLA and Penn State. So the names came out. Now, Penn State, I think, initially denied. And then the Elevate CEO said that these partnerships were established prior to the launch of the initiative. In other words, the House settlement and all that. So this has been in the making for a while. But private equity, these capital deals that I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more of coming up in the future. But the first two, again, it's out there with UCLA and Penn State looking for different avenues to bring in that revenue for the advent of revenue sharing.
Yeah, again, I mean, schools are looking, for everywhere to find money. Because it's one thing, they obviously have to find the money for the revenue sharing and the extra scholarships, all that, but you still want to be able to do facility upgrades, things like that. And it's just, it's okay, where's that money coming from now? A lot of schools have put facility upgrades on hold because of this. If we can't afford to be spending that money right now, we're trying to figure out where we're coming up with all this other money. Now, the question becomes, what are you giving in return? What are they getting for that investment? And that will be the question of what do you have to give up in order to get that private equity investment? So I don't know what that is. But Tim Pernetti has talked about doing it on the conference level, and I'm sure there are other conferences looking at this, of trying to figure out, again, it's just any way you can get extra money coming in, but what are you having to give up in return for that investment?
So some news this morning, the power conferences have released a joint statement applauding the discussion draft. That's a new House bill that has been circulating. We're not hearing that for the first time. That's been going around now for a while. But in the wake of the recent college sports settlement, which again happened Friday, so it hasn't been that long, lawmakers have taken an important step to bring much-needed clarity, fairness, and national consistency to college athletics by issuing a discussion draft of the SCORE ACT, the ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, the PAC, and the SEC issued the below statement applauding the growing momentum in Congress. Here was the statement. This discussion draft comes at a time of historic transition for college athletics. In the absence of federal standards, student athletes and schools have been forced to navigate a fractured regulatory framework for too long. I've been talking about this. Following the historic House settlement, this draft legislation represents a very encouraging step toward delivering the national clarity and accountability that college athletics desperately needs. We urge lawmakers to build on this momentum and deliver the national solution that athletes, coaches, and schools deserve. Now, a lot of people hate to get political, have the politicians get involved in this thing, but right now it's still, even with this House settlement, there's going to be a lot of issues still. And you still have state legislation that's out there. So the key highlights of the SCORE ACT include replacing what they call the confusing patchwork of state NIL laws with a national standard ensuring all student athletes are treated fairly no matter where they play, affirming student athletes' right to profit from their name, image, and likeness, requiring academic support. Yeah, there's still school, right? We think there is, and ensuring access to mental health and well-being resources for student athletes. But that first part, national standard, ensuring everyone is treated the same and treated fairly. So let's supersede these state NIL laws, which are all over the place, and find something federally agreed to that becomes law, that whatever happens in the state can't supersede what is law. That's why these power conferences are looking for the help to make sure it's an equal playing field as far as that's concerned. Because even with the settlement, as we know, there's going to be many more lawsuits. There's going to be a lot of craziness. And we still got to figure out the whole women's equality with Title IX. Is that going to be coming into play? So this, I think, is much, much needed. Normally, I would say, don't let the politics get involved, but I really think they need something like this.
Yeah, everybody believes they need that. That's what they've been asking for and wanting, and just all they want is uniformity amongst everybody, and not different rules for different schools. And we'll see if they're able to get there. I mean, there's been many attempts and hearings and all kinds of different things, and we haven't gotten there to this point. So now that this settlement is actually in place, does that lead to some sort of federal law? I don't know, but certainly having different laws for different schools because of different states they are in doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And everybody in the sport knows that seemingly, and they got to figure out a way to do it.
All right, it's back. I don't want to say possibility, although it's not off the table. And I don't want to say discussion either, but the whole Pac-12, Pac-2, Pac thing with Memphis is sort of out there again. And that's because it's a big week for the Pac, because now it's going to be, at minimum, 8 Pac-12 schools. They have all signed, according to reports, their grant of rights. They're expected to finish up the TV deal or the media deal soon, like this week. Now, 7 of the schools, which includes the 2 that hung around and had nowhere to go, Oregon State and Washington State, play football. The 8th does not. That's Gonzaga. Gonzaga will be in for all sports, but they don't play football. The Pac needs an 8th school, minimum. They need an 8th school by July 1st of 2026. And we know that Memphis was offered, and they turned it down. We know that there are other schools that have been named out there, not necessarily by Pac officials, but rumors, Texas State, UTSA, Tulane originally when they were talking about Memphis. So there's been names. And the TV or the media rights deal is going to be very interesting because, according to reports, it could be as many as 4 different partners for the media rights deal with the Pac. The question is, how much can they conceivably get? How much can that deal be? And therein lies the problem, which, again, Memphis had been offered. Dr. Ed Scott, who publicly talked about that and answered questions why they said no to it, and I think that was the absolute right move. It would have been financial suicide, especially now with rev sharing and everything that plays in with the finances of a athletic department. Are you kidding me? With NIL, with, like you said, projects that some have to put on hold now, not knowing the certainty of some sports, not in Memphis, but for the future. We talked yesterday with, who do we have on yesterday? Jonah Dillon. And I asked him about schools dropping sports, and he said not in the American, but there's a good chance some of the other Group of 5 conference schools will have to drop sports. So with all the uncertainty, and this was, how long ago? A year ago? No, Ed's only been in the job. He hasn't even been in the job for a full year. So this was what, early fall? It was the right move. It was the right move, and I think most people agreed. But, again, it seems to come back up because of what's going on this week with the PAC schools and the signing of the grant of rights.
But also, I came back up because of the Boise State AD.
Well, yeah, and we talked about that yesterday. But again, but the ADs aren't making the decision. The ADs aren't inviting teams, right? That has nothing to do with the ADs, but that's an opinion of an AD. And Dr. Scott reacted to it. He said, thank you very much, because it was and I forget the AD's name from Boise State, but he was very cordial and very complimentary of Dr. Scott. And Dr. Scott said it's mutual. But he's sticking to his guns. Unless it doesn't make any sense financially, unless all of a sudden they can turn around and say, listen, here's the TV rights deal we're getting. And it blows them away. And then you're back on the phone. Because if the money is right, the move should be made. We're not talking about all sports. We're talking about football. But I don't see how it will be. I don't see how that deal will be. As much as people would love to see a change, you can't just make a change for change. And while the American dollars are very low in comparison to the power conferences, I think it's the most in the Group of 5. And it was an increase in the American. And so Memphis, I forget the number. Was it a little over 11 million? Whatever that recent number was.
Believe it's
Elijah, maybe you can find that exact number that they got, because it was announced. And I think that was for last year. Not for this past year, this fiscal year, which ends. And the new one starts July 1st. But again, I don't see how it's going to be financially appealing. And you can't, as much as you want to get out, you just can't get out. I know the hope would be down the road, Big 12, that would be the ultimate. But for the time being, you just can't jump at it just to jump at it and take, hemorrhage money financially. You can't hemorrhage money, rather. And they would be doing that. You're not going to take it for less, or let's say it was equal. Well, the expenditures that you incur from travel would still be a lot, even if it was just football only. It's still costly. So,
well, I mean, if you're trying to do it football only, you have to find a place for your other sports.
Yeah, and that's where the Big East comes into play. And again, who knows if that even had any kind of movement. All it was a couple of coaches, one who was very vocal on his pulpit, Rick Pitino, coming out and saying, we need to add schools, and the Memphis basketball program would be a great addition. But who knows where else they would want to go, the Big East, as far as all sports, and even if they would care to do that with Memphis. But that's the way that I would look at it, because the American is not keeping your school in the conference if football is leaving. So that's another thing, as you pointed out. You're not going to leave if you don't have a landing spot for everything else. So it's not as easy as just saying, yeah, let's pack it up and move on and let's go to this new pack thing. But it's still all about the money, first and foremost. If all of a sudden they had a TV contract and they need an eighth football playing team, and they said $20 million a year. Each school's getting $20 million a year. And Memphis total gets like 11 with all things. Then I think you got to figure it out. Figure out where to land your other sports. And, again, the Big East could be a landing spot. But that's just so premature. But I don't think the finances will be anything near where Memphis could even seriously consider. And that's why Dr. Scott said thanks but no thanks and made what I think was the absolute right decision, much to the chagrin of some people who thought you got to move. You got to just change the landscape. Yeah, it's not good. Basketball specifically. At least football has a little bit of a pulse in this conference. Basketball, it's Memphis and that's it. There ain't nothing. So, yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice to be able to go to one conference, a power conference, have all your sports there. Yes, in a perfect world. We are far from a perfect world.
I mean, at this point, dollars are the most important thing
Absolutely.
for them. Because, again, they're not going to be able to even be at the cap of $20.5 million. They're not going to be able to afford that. So every decision that is made has to just be looked at the bottom line of, okay, what does this do for us financially? And again, I didn't think at that point that the Pac-12 would ever have a TV deal that would be good enough. I still don't believe that the Pac-12 will have a TV deal that'll be good enough with the schools that they have for it to make any sense for Memphis to go to the Pac-12.
Yeah, I know there are new streaming services. Some of the networks that are getting into sports for the first time, they need program. They need content. But they're not going to overpay for a less than appealing product. And it's really not that appealing. It's cool that Boise's going to be a part of it. Oregon State, Washington State, the holdovers, they're okay. It's just not, it's not that meaty. Could it be in the future? I don't know, maybe. But right now it's not. Elijah, were you able to find those figures?
Yeah, it's $9 million.
So it's $9 million. So less than what I had thought. So you turn around and go, yeah, we're going to get every one of these schools 20. Ooh, okay. It's a whole different ballgame. But again, you have to have a landing spot for every other sport. Speaking of sports, how about basketball? You a basketball player? You want to become a better basketball player? Want to become a better shooter of the basketball? I got a place for you. It's called Shoot 360 Memphis. The technology is out of this world. It's a great, really great basketball training facility. It has everything. Cutting-edge technology, gamification, analytics, instant objective feedback from one-on-one coaching, and some coaches that have been at the top. I'm talking about a former Grizzlies assistant and Scott Adebato and a staff that has years and years of experience. Shoot 360 Memphis with 2 locations in Cordova on Big Orange Road and Collierville at 85 Market Street. You can become a member of both or one or the other, and you can do so monthly. Monthly memberships available. So you can go online to Shoot 360 Memphis and join right there online, or, which I suggest, give them a call or stop by, ask for a tour. It's that simple. Join for a month, try it out. You're going to, I think, fall in love with it. If you don't, 1 month, no harm, no foul. If not, sign up for multiple months, sign up for a year, whatever you want to do. But it is an experience that you've never had before as far as, again, becoming better in the game of basketball. It's, you can go to the camps and you can do this and that with coaches and one-on-one. That's fine. But there's nothing like Shoot 360 Memphis and the technology that they provide. So give them a call at 901-779-3176. That's the Cordova location. In Collierville, 901-316-5500. The future of basketball training is here. It's called Shoot 360 Memphis. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56. Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Fun, exciting, friendly, and comfortable. Wall-to-wall TVs, 24 taps for all your beers, including $3 domestic and $5 craft drinks on Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 happy hour. Music bingo Tuesdays, daily special, and one weekend. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill, Lakeland's Town Square, Highway 70. Check those out for daily special and weekend music at the Owner's Box.
Introducing the new Dell AI PC, powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor. It helps do your busy work for you, so you can fast forward through editing images, designing presentations, generating code, debugging code, summarizing meeting notes, finding files, managing schedule, and responding to Jim's long emails. Leaving all the time in the world for the things you actually want to do. No thanks, Jim. Get a new Dell AI PC at dell.com/AI-PC. How goes ahead, stay ahead.
Andy Wise here. I'm an actual customer of Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis in the Mid-South. I was so impressed, I endorsed Pella as the standard in affordable luxury. And now, Pella's even more affordable. 12 months, no interest, no payments, plus 50% off installation. Mention you heard this on the radio and get another $500 off. I'm telling you, as your consumer investigator, as their customer, make the wise choice of Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis in the Mid-South.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Congrats to the folks in Oxford. Ole Miss football tickets sold out already. This will be, is it 2 years in a row? Or is it more as far as the tickets being sold out? I know they'll be going for double-digit wins for a third straight year. 10-plus wins, that's the aim. Of course, the aim is to get to the SEC championship game. But, my gosh, season tickets already sold out. Here we are in early June in Oxford. Congratulations.
They're excited about the football team, everything. They had a great year overall, but yeah, I mean, it's these SEC teams tend to sell football tickets.
Why is it that? And I know I'm asking you to kind of in general speak for two different fan bases, but in Oxford, they're really excited for Austin Simmons, the two-sports star, who's got all the talent in the world, but they lose Jackson Dart, who was a first-round pick of the New York Football Giants. So you lose a star, a stud, and there's just as much as excitement. With Memphis, you lose your 4-year starting quarterback, Seth Hennigan. And so, yeah, okay, that's tough. But you're bringing in a guy with over 30 starts in Division I college football in Brendan Lewis. Why is there not seemingly as much excitement? Because they're both quarterbacks that, and I'm not saying one talent is equal to the other talent or potential is equal to the potential, but you have one that's an experienced, one an inexperienced quarterback, and there's both uncertainty and question marks about what they will do with their respective teams. But it just seems like there's more, we're not so sure. Memphis, you got to replace Hennigan, whereas Ole Miss, it seems like we're gung-ho with Austin Simmons.
Well, I mean, it's not just Austin Simmons. They feel like they got a really good roster around him, but they saw Austin Simmons come in that Georgia game last year and lead a touchdown drive against Georgia and what was maybe the biggest drive of the season for them. Like, they got to see him do it against one of the best teams in the nation, come in there, lead the team right down the field when Jackson Dart was struggling in that game to start and injury happened, and Simmons was amazing. And they've seen him obviously playing baseball, which doesn't mean anything for this, but I mean, it's just about their team overall. They just feel good because Blade has went out to the transfer portal and put together another really good roster. And so Memphis, by the way, did get $11 million from the payout. They were the top in the conference.
I thought it was, yeah.
Now, last year's payments also were it was a little bit higher because you had SMU's exit fees in there that would have been added to the overall money. So I don't know what the number will be for this current year. But they got $11 million. Tulane got $10.8 million. This wouldn't have acquired. I don't know if this would have included SMU's exit fees because they were part of the payout that year, but I guess they probably would have also paid their exit fees too. I don't know how that exactly would have worked.
Yeah, because we're talking about the money from not this past year, the year prior. And SMU was still in the conference.
This is what ended in July, or I don't know if it's July or June, May or whatever, 2024.
Right.
SMU would have already been on the way out, but it was their last year in the conference.
Yes.
So they may have already had to pay their exit fees at that point. I don't know how that exactly worked.
Yeah, but
when they pay those exit fees.
Yeah, I just remember $11 million, and I remember it saying that's the most that Memphis has received. But again, $11 million was an increase from what they had.
Ended May 30th of 2024.
Yeah. And then the new fiscal year starts, scholastically July 1st, right? But the money that they received was more than everybody else. Still, though, pales in comparison, again, to what the payout is for the power conference schools. This is good news. Potential good news, potentially. Jalen Allen from the Memphis Showboats, according to reports, will work out with the Patriots on Wednesday. Showboat safety Keaton Ellis reportedly is working out for the Cleveland Browns. There are other players in the UFL that have gotten invites to work out for teams. Right now, the mini camps are going on. They've started in some locales. Others will start later this week, mandatory mini camps. But it's very hard for a player to come in unless there's a rash of injuries at a position or there is just a lack of talent at a position. But Jalen Allen going to New England. And right now, New England has a couple of Tigers trying to make a team, including Mr. Irrelevant, Kobe Minor. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Demir Blankensee is an undrafted free agent that is trying to make the New England Patriots. So he's there at camp as well, and now a third Tiger in Jalen Allen. So good luck to him. Stanley Cup Finals last night, 6-1. The Florida Panthers, they come back home after splitting 2 at Edmonton. They win 6-1 over the Oilers to grab a 2-1 lead in the Stanley Cup Finals. 6-1 in hockey. Could you equate that to a 51-point loss in the NBA playoffs? That's an absolute massacre.
It's pretty bad.
It was over very quickly. And they will play Game 4, I believe, on Thursday, back in Florida, with the Panthers trying to defend their Stanley Cup title from a year ago, now leading 2-1. All right, when we come back, hour number 2, we will open up with Humdinger's Trivia. Got some Tigers basketball to get into. Then we'll dive into the NBA at 8:25. John Tauti will join us. We got a lot to go. And in the show, as we're just 1 hour in the books. And then in hour number 3 will be golf heavy. Oakmont, is it unfair to have a test like that for the players? That will begin on Thursday, the U.S. Open, and one of the toughest courses you can play in all the world. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We all want to feel completely safe after locking up at night and heading to bed. That's the peace of mind Simply Safe provides. Traditional security systems only react after a break-in happens. But Simply Safe is setting the new standard by helping to prevent threats before they start. Right now, get 50% off your new Simply Safe system with professional monitoring and your first month free at simplysafecolin.com. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Manis today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call them 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelets, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf, or one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church downtown Memphis.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's finally starting to pick up a little bit more volume. Coming down I-40 right now in from Fayette County into Shelby County on 40 West here at Canada Road, Chambers Chapel, all the way down to Sycamore View Road as 385 Billmore Parkway starts to pick up a little bit more volume getting onto 240. Dandelions, nutgrass, crabgrass. You want to get rid of all this? Call Lawn Solutions today. Here in Memphis, these guys are the best. 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
71 degrees, going to get up to 90 today with plenty of sunshine. Tonight, clear skies and a low of 65. We welcome you back to Sports 56 Mornings on this Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. We're live and local, broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Greg, Eli, and Elijah. You know what Tuesday means. It's time for Humdinger's Trivia.
That's right. Opportunity for somebody out there to win a $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's, where you can, of course, go enjoy some of their delicious food. And, of course, if it's Tuesday, that also means it's Taco Tuesday at Humdinger's with their chicken and fish tacos, just $2 each. That's each and every Tuesday that they offer up that special for you over at Humdinger's. Poplar and Massey is where you'll find them, but any day is a great day for those tacos or any of the delicious food, from their appetizers like the crab cakes or the Humdinger shrimp or the crispy calamari or the wings, to the great grilled fish options, or maybe one of their great sandwiches or salads. It's all right there at humdingersrestaurant.com for you to check out. You can see the entire menu right there online. You can also order online. You can get information about catering online. All the information you need at humdingersrestaurant.com. But any day, good day to go enjoy some of that great food. Poplar and Massey. And again, Tuesdays are Taco Tuesdays at Humdinger's. If you are the first to answer our trivia question correctly, well, then you will get that $25 gift certificate. You can answer via text on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 360-8255, 360-8255. All you got to do is text in an answer. If you've won in the last 30 days, well, you are not eligible, and you only get one guess, so use it wisely. And here is today's question. Last night, Murray State clinched its spot in the College World Series. First time it's ever been to the College World Series, so obviously they've never won the title. Which other teams that'll be in Omaha this year have never won a College World Series title? So other than Murray State, which teams that are in Omaha or going to Omaha this year have never won a College World Series title? Text in those answers at 360-8255, 360-8255. First correct answer gets the $25 gift certificate to Humdingers. Teams other than Murray State who are in Omaha this year that have never won a College World Series title.
If you have been listening closely to the show over the last 2 days, I've mentioned schools in the College Baseball World Series who have won titles. So then process of elimination, you should have the answer. Good luck. Adam Schefter reporting that Trey Hendrickson, who was number 1 in sacks last year in the NFL with 35, and TJ Watt, who was second in sacks with 30.5, neither one reporting to their respective mandatory mini camps over contract squabbles. Hendrickson with Cincinnati, that one has been much publicized. They gave the money to the receivers, but they have not found money for Hendrickson, which is just mind-boggling. And TJ Watt, I got to think they're going to figure out a way. I mean, come on. There have been a lot of tremendous edge rushers that have been paid in this offseason. It seemed like all the edge rushers with quality had their contracts renewed, but now we have 2 that are holding out. But I would think for sure TJ Watt, I don't know if it's going to happen now during this mandatory minicamp. It might linger on until camp opens up, and then you accrued all this money for fines for missing time. But that'll get done. That one I'm sure. The Hendrickson one, I'm not so sure. Bengals are notorious for being cheap. Now, they spent money in the offseason with the receivers to appease Joe Burrow. But I think Burrow also wouldn't mind having a quality defense, and that's led by this guy Hendrickson, who has been awesome.
Yeah, I would hope they can figure out a way, but certainly that one could get a little bit ugly. And Hendrickson seems to have dug in as far as that is concerned, that he wants a new contract or he wants to go elsewhere. So we'll see what they're able to come up with for him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Memphis Tigers basketball off-season training camp, if you will, or just practices now. And I'm not sure exactly the breakdown of how many hours coaches can work with players, whether it's groups, and I think it's like groups of 4. I don't know. It gets a little complicated there, but they began doing that yesterday. And Penny Hardaway had some interesting things to say, not with a media scrum, but just video of him talking to his team. And then they did a nice job in posting some of those clips on social media. And Penny Hardaway addressing his team, the one that jumped out at me was his quote, "All I need is 12 players willing to run through the wall for me. That's all I need. All I need is 12 players willing to run through the wall for me." It's an interesting, eclectic group of players that he has. And really, there's not one player you look at and go, he's an absolute star. We kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday. But he did say that he needs all these players that are here to be all in. And who knows where the quality will come from. Who knows how much a guy who maybe right now looked at, not by Penny, but by the outsiders as deep rotation guy could end up being a starter and being a star. But one thing I thought that was really interesting, and Jason Munz pointed this out from the Commercial Appeal, that Eastern Florida State college transfer, that's junior college guard Felipe Patino, has not yet made his way to Memphis, and it's unclear whether or not he will ever make it to Memphis. And it's interesting because, again, Penny said, all I need is 12 players. By what has happened in this offseason, if you include Patino, there's 13 players. Now, he may be just addressing the 12 that were in the room because Patino's not there. I don't know. But maybe it's something where this guy will not be joining the Memphis Tigers. He was one of the early commits with Daniel Vieira Tuck. And who knows if this guy will make it to Memphis or not. But I thought it was interesting. Again, he said 12. There were 12 in the room, but there's 13 on the roster if you include Felipe Patino. But Memphis off and rolling as far as off-season workouts and things of that nature, as this will be a very interesting upcoming season. It's a Memphis team that is completely new, completely different. The league around them, I don't see any of those teams having stepped up in the offseason with their personnel. I just don't know how good this Memphis team is, but by just virtue of elimination, I mean, they should waltz to a conference championship again. They are more talented than all these other teams, but how good will they be? And especially early on in the season when they play those non-conference opponents, will they have the success that they've had the last 2 years? The last 2 years, again, two different teams because they always are different now in this day and age. Both had a lot of success non-conference. Now, 2 years ago, went kaput in conference play. This past season, they were great. Won the regular season title, won the conference tournament championship. What will this team be when it's all said and done? Who knows? But we're very early, very preliminary as far as that's concerned. All right, NBA. Finals resumes tomorrow night. Oklahoma City, 5.5-point favorite at Indiana as the Thunder evened up the score with a convincing win in game number 2. In the meantime, there's some interesting things going on as we obviously get closer to the end of the season, the NBA draft, and the free agency period. Yesterday, we talked a lot about the Zach Edey injury and what it may mean for Zach Kleiman and company, what they may do. Does it affect what they want to do? Nobody knows right now what they are they planning on with the exception they have. And after it would, I guess they would redo or hoping to redo Jaren Jackson Jr.'s contract. They would have, what is it called, the floor exception?
If they get under the cap in
yes.
order to do Jaren's thing, then they have the room exception.
The room exception. I said the floor. The room exception. And does the Edey injury change what they want to do? In other words, were they going into it thinking, yeah, we need wing help, but now we got to address the big? Or does it not affect that at all? So, again, these are just questions out there that we won't know the answer until things actually happen. I don't think anybody's going to talk about it, nobody from the administration.
Well, the first thing they have to decide, I mean, and is whether they're going to do a renegotiate and extend with Jaren, and whether he even is open to that or not. Like if they're not going to do that, or he says, well, I don't know, I want to wait till after the season and hit free agency, then that could completely change. Then they don't have to get underneath the cap. Then they can have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception so that it changes the whole thing. So the first decision they have to make, and with consulting, I guess, Jaren, is this the route we're going with him, or does he want to wait till free agency and do it that way? So, but yes, I mean, regardless of whichever amount of money they have to spend, then you have to make the decision, do we have to spend some of that on a center, or do we feel comfortable with what we've got in the time that Zach Edey is out, whatever that time frame that they're given of this is what kind of can be expected of how long he's going to miss of actual regular season games. Are we okay with what we've got with Brandon Clark coming back from injury, Jay Huff, obviously Jaron can play the center position, or do we feel like we need somebody else at that position, and then that takes at least part of that money that you have to spend that has to now go towards a center along with a roster spot that you have to create for that said center.
Can you negotiate with a guy, your own guy that's under contract, and you're looking to revamp the contract or whatever? Can you do that at any time? Could they do that today? Or does it have to happen after, or once like the free agency period opens up and all that? Can they, since he's not a free agent this year?
The Jaron stuff wouldn't be able to be done now because they have to renounce the rights to guys and get underneath the cap and all that stuff to do it.
So what type of timetable are we looking at?
We got to wait till
after the draft,
end of
after
the league year, and all these guys become like Kadard becomes a free agent. You renounce his rights, that gets you down, and all these guys. That's how you've got to get under the cap for the next NBA season, next NBA year.
So the only thing it would affect is the draft, and they only have the 2 second-round picks. So once free agency begins, then they can, like you say, renounce players, do what they want, try to renegotiate with Tripp and his agent. So I think that's fine. Now, it would be interesting, though, if they had a first-round pick, how they would handle that, not knowing where they stand with Jackson, the uncertainty. Maybe they find a little bit out behind closed doors. I don't know. But, again,
they could. I'm guessing that they have already talk to Jaron and his representative.
Okay, so
and know whether Jaron is even willing to do it. Like, Jaron may say, like, no, I don't want an extension. I want to wait till I get to free agency. I want to see what happens this coming, whatever. He may not want to do one this offseason, or he may say, yeah, I would love to get something done this year, get it wrapped up, and not have to worry about anything going into next year. I know I've got my extension done.
Okay, so while they technically can't negotiate, they can discuss. And so you think that maybe they've already done that, or at least are about to do that, and have some kind of understanding of where things stand. Okay, that makes sense. All right, elsewhere in the NBA, there's a lot of talk about Jason Kidd possibly going to the Knicks. Now, first of all, the Mavericks would have to allow that to happen, and the more likelihood, if they have no big issue with that, is compensation. Jason Kidd, earlier in his career, went from Brooklyn to Milwaukee, I believe it was, and there was a trade with a couple of second-round picks. So it'll be interesting to see if Dallas allows the Knicks, if that's really the direction the Knicks are going, but that seems to be the reports that are out there. Windhorst was reporting that there is mutual interest from both parties. And then, if that happens, then you get the whole situation with Dallas having an opening. Now, Dallas, who's about to have the number 1 pick, which will be Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, again, will he be healthy? Will he be able to stay healthy? Kyrie Irving returning from injury. Will he be able to stay healthy? Could be a really good team. But I wonder if Jason Kidd wants to go for 2 reasons. One, first of all, you get out of the West, you go to the East. The Knicks, they had a really good season. They got a lot of talent. 2, he wasn't really happy with everything that went down with the Luka trade. Do we ever get anything from him on that? Didn't he come out? I think he supported the decision, but you just wonder if that soured him a bit. And so maybe that will lead into at least partly helping him decide whether or not there is a legitimate possibility to go to New York. Again, Dallas is going to have to allow him to go and get compensation for him. I would see it's either going to be they're not letting him go or they're going to trade him. And coaches have been traded.
Yeah, I mean, there's the reports that Dallas won't even let him and aren't going to let him or deny the request to talk to him if that request has been made yet or not. I don't know if anybody knows for sure. But Jason Kidd could also, if they say no to the Knicks if Jason Kidd really wants to go, Jason Kidd can certainly get himself out of there. You don't want a coach who doesn't want to be coaching your team. So if he wants to get out, he could figure out a way to get out and make that happen. Even if Dallas does tell the Knicks, nope, you can't talk to him. So it's all. But yes, if he does move, there will be some sort of compensation. I think it was a couple of second-round picks that Milwaukee gave up.
Yes, that's what it was
when they got him. It's interesting because James Dolan and the owner of the Mavericks, not Mark Cuban, the new owners, the Sphere, when he built Sphere in Las Vegas, that was on land owned by the new owners of the Mavericks. So they've done some pretty big business deals together before. Now, they don't own that land anymore. They ended up selling it to another whatever. But they are familiar with working with each other and on much bigger deals than trying to obtain a coach from the other one.
Two other NBA notes. Darius Garland had toe surgery. He's out 4 to 5 months, the Cleveland guard, and a guy whose name's actually come up in possible trade talk. Also, there was a rumor out there yesterday from Bill Simmons that he feels that the Phoenix Suns and the Spurs already have a deal made for Kevin Durant. Again, I don't believe that. Could Kevin Durant land in San Antonio? Absolutely. But I don't think anything is done. Also, as far as Zach Edey is concerned, nothing new. So, again, not sure when he will go under the knife. It's not a when or if. We know that it's going to happen according to the information provided by the organization, but we don't know exactly when. And they say once that takes place, then we can have a better timetable on how long he will be out.
We do have a winner in our Humdingers trivia. This was a little bit of a struggle for people. The question was which teams, other than Murray State, obviously, because Murray State's never even been to the College World Series, but which teams that are going to be in Omaha this year have not won a College World Series. There are 2 of them. Some people came with a long list, but Arizona has won. They have won, as a matter of fact, 4. UCLA has won. They've won 1 of them. Of course, LSU's won. They've won 7 of them. Oregon State's won. They've won 3 of them. And Coastal Carolina, which a lot of people came with Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina did win, and not that long ago, but they have won as well. The 2 teams that have not won the championship in the College World Series are Arkansas and Louisville. Arkansas and Louisville are the 2 that have not won, along with Murray State. We do have a winner, and we will be contacting a winner, let you know how to get your $25 gift certificate to Humdingers.
John Talty from CBS Sports and a terrific author. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author. He joins us next. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everything today is technologically based. Well, except maybe you. If you're struggling with tech, no matter what kind, call Tech for You. Tech for You for TVs, home theaters, cameras, smart locks, digital storage, and more. Tech for You makes it simple and affordable. 697-9695. Make your home safe, comfortable, and up to date with Tech for You. Stop struggling with tech. Call 697-9695. Veteran owned and operated. Tech for You. Technology simplified.
He's coming. Here we go. Surprise! Your table saw broke. Also, the warranty expired weeks ago, so you need to pay for a new one out of pocket.
Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Oh, and the replacement part you ordered doesn't fit, so it's completely useless.
What a waste! Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
One thing Bell Tavern can say with confidence is that you won't find a better selection of bourbon, whiskey, and scotch anywhere else in Memphis. Maybe anywhere. With signature cocktails like the 3 Whiskey Old Fashioned, the Barrel Aged Manhattan, and the Spicy Margarita, paired with the whiskey flights like the Tennessee Bourbon Flight and the Maker's Mark Flight. There are more amazing drink options at Bell Tavern than you could possibly work your way through in one visit. In fact, it would take many, many visits to Bell Tavern to even make a dent in the extensive selection. Grab an Uber and head to Bell Tavern.
Spring is in the air, and it's the perfect time to grill, chill, and save with Choates. Install a new generator, tankless water heater, or Carrier HVAC system, and you'll get your choice of a free Green Egg Grill or 36 months no-interest financing. Stay powered during storms, enjoy endless hot water, and slash your cooling costs this summer with a high-efficiency Carrier system, and grill some slow-smoke barbecue on us. But hurry, this special ends soon. And if you're dealing with plumbing or electrical problems, Choates is here for you too. Give us a try and take $60 off your repair. Leaky faucet, clogged drain, broken outlet, lights flickering? Call Choates and save $60 on your plumbing or electrical repair service. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com today. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
This traffic report on Sports 56 is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South Pella Windows. The standard is affordable luxury.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Starting to build a little bit more in the Midtown area on 240 North as you work your way up around South Parkway. Norris traffic still moving at the moment through South Haven on 55 northbound coming up from DeSoto County. A little bit of fog out here in certain areas. Give yourself extra time. Weimer's Jewelry, your diamond engagement ring headquarters. Go by and see them today at 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
To reveal the full spectrum of dazzling color.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. Having fun on a Tuesday. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you, broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Not only do we try to entertain on this program, we also try to educate. And when we try to educate, we like to bring on people who are much more intelligent than us. And that includes our next guest, our good friend, John Talty. He's the National College Sports reporter for CBS Sports, a Wall Street Journal best-selling author, and a graduate of my alma mater, the University of Maryland, the Ivy League of the, the Mid-Atlantic, would we say, John? The Ivy League of the Mid-Atlantic? How are you?
I think it is a public Ivy, actually. So you're on it, yeah.
Why not, right? You can follow John on Twitter at JTalty. All right, John. Never a dull moment. And, of course, things finally came to a head on Friday with the announcement of the House settlement. Let me start now with some news this morning, and then we'll kind of go backwards all the way to Friday. But the whole deal with the House bill that's circulating and the possibility of having this law, which will supersede all the craziness of state legislation. I know that the power conferences had the joint statement and released that this morning, that they feel that's the direction you need to go in, and that's the direction they're hoping to go in. What are we talking about as far as a timetable for something to get done, to have something federal that will, again, everything will be based on that, as opposed to every individual 50 states in the union deciding on what to do as far as NIL and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, I think the commissioners would take it anytime it comes. But, to this point, it's obviously been extremely tough sledding. It's not the first bill they've endorsed. There have been numerous bills that have, kind of been drafted and floated around, and they still haven't even gotten one all the way to a 4 vote, let alone to both chambers of Congress. So it's a tricky thing. Yesterday the Power 5 commissioners did a joint press conference. They were asked about the congressional action, and Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti talked about how he believes that, now the House settlement's been approved, that shows to Congress that, that college sports is acting out of goodwill, that they are willing to make changes, that they're evolving. They felt like that would make it easier to try to get something done. But, maybe it's just I'm just cynical or skeptical, whatever it might be. But, I am skeptical that something will happen anytime soon. I feel like we've heard from people in the past, it's getting closer, and it just hasn't happened. And I do think that in regards to this specific bill, even the most optimistic people believe that it's much more likely to come out of Senate, specifically with Ted Cruz and the Commerce Committee, rather than the House. So, I don't know that this one's really going to get that far, but what I think it is enlightening and shows you exactly what college sports leaders want, and that's what this bill is in many ways. It's kind of their dream wish list, which is also, I think, why some people feel like it's unlikely to actually get across the finish line.
It's better if it comes out of the Senate, not the House anyway, because people get so confused with House being the settlement thing and then the House bills. Like, people are so confused by that. And people are like, what, this is the House of Representatives? No, I was like, no, this is a lawsuit thing. It's way
Person
too
name
confusing.
house.
Way too many houses out there. That's all we have to think. The thing that came out yesterday talking about the private equity investment with schools, possibly with conferences. How much of that do you expect to end up happening? How widespread do you believe it could be with private equity firms getting involved, especially with schools?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that it will happen. We know that it's starting to happen. Widespread is an interesting way of putting it. I'm not sure that it becomes widespread, but, I think there's a couple things to consider. One, and I think I've learned this the hard way working in journalism, that, private equity getting involved isn't always the greatest thing for every organization, that you got to be careful about kind of letting the foxes into the hen house. And so I think that the athletic departments that are really solid in their funding and their revenue are going to, be less likely to feel compelled to have to give up a piece. If they can get loans and not have to go down this path. So that's part of it. But I think certainly that there is interest from private equity. We've known that now for a couple of years. They've been sniffing around multiple different places. There's been lots of conversations, and it hasn't quite happened maybe as quickly as some people would have thought. So I think we're going to see more and more of it happening, but I don't know that it's going to be, again, widespread. I think certain schools will see it as necessary to try to compete with these rising expenses, and others, if you're in Alabama, I don't know that you need to go down that path because of kind of where you already are funding wise.
John Talty from CBS Sports joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. John, what is your take on the hiring of Brian Seeley? Comes over from Major League Baseball, which has its own issues. He becomes the head of the College Sports Commission, and then the duties of the commission, and these schools and the power conferences, and I guess everybody following suit, adhering to his judgments and what this commission lays down. Do you think this thing's going to work?
I mean, I think people really want it to work. I think that's part of the probably billion-dollar question right now is, can this thing work? Can it work fairly? And will schools actually abide by, what they're trying to make them sign and do, and which is to not circumvent the rules, to not threaten to sue if an NIL deal gets, marked as outside the range of value. I mean, there's two things to look at it. One, this is what they want, right? And, this has come up over and over again where the commissioners and ADs talk about, hey, I've asked, even Greg Sankey said this yesterday. I've asked my room, do you guys want rules or do you not want rules? Mm-hmm. And I hear time and time again that we want rules, but that means you actually have to live by those rules. The flip side of that is, for as long as I can remember, college sports is a competitive space, and people are always looking for an edge, including, doing things that might be against the rules. So it will be against, in some ways, the human nature of college sports to actually follow the rules here. But there's a lot at stake, and so I think it's being stressed to everyone that, just because you might not get what you want here, it's for the greater good. We'll see if the industry as a whole can actually rally around the greater good, or if someone decides, I only care about myself and I'm going to just do what I want and threaten to blow the whole thing up.
I believe I think it was the Sankey comments I was reading about. But in the end, like, who will they be determining what the punishments will be? Will it just be the commission, or will these conferences, I guess theoretically, getting together decide, like, all right, these are what the penalties will be for breaking said rules?
Yeah, it's going to ultimately be the commissioner is going to be the final judge. Like the CEO of the commission is going to be the final judge on this thing. And from talking to people that are part of the the implementation committee, which came up with a lot of this stuff that's now being rolled out, was that they wanted that person who's now Brian Seeley to have some leeway to do what he thought was best. We'll see what the final kind of outlook is. Some of the stuff has still kind of been a work in progress, but they didn't want to get boxed into kind of how the NCAA did things, where there's all these penalty matrices and it was these drawn out processes. And I don't think they want that at all. I think that they want it to be faster, to be more transparent, and ultimately to put the power in one person and his team to do what he thinks is right. So I don't think, from my understanding, it's going to be as simple as, if you do this 3 times, you get this. I think it's going to be more taking in the facts of the case and judging it, the severity of it based off of that. So I think that's why there's a lot of interest in how that's going to actually work out, just because, no one quite knows. People like myself and Ross Dellinger and others have reported about possible penalties, but I've talked to, again, people that are directly involved in this process, and even they've said, like, there's no sheet floating around out there that says these are what the penalties are going to be. It's all, this is what we think they could be, here's what we think that they might be, but there's not a penalty checklist so far of first strike this, second strike that. So we'll see if that gets developed, or if it's just kind of like I said, where Brian Steele just has a lot of flexibility and leeway to do what he believes is best.
Has there been any talk, like, how big of a team or staff is Seeley going to have? Because that's one of the NCAA always talked about. They were understaffed. So that's why they took forever to investigate and do anything. Like, what type of people are we talking about that he's going to have to be able to do this and try and do it in a timely fashion?
Yeah, I don't have a head count on it, but I think it's going to be a decent-sized team, because, to your point, the enforcement team has been kind of bogged down by that. I think one of the things that is tricky, and why I think there could be some bumps along the road to start off, is, one, this thing's basically getting up and rolling next week. So it's going to take him some time to fill out a staff. And two, from talking to people involved in the process, they really can't hire anybody from the NCAA. It doesn't mean that those people are completely precluded from having a job with this, but I think from an optics standpoint, I've been told that they prefer to go out of house and find people, from other areas. So, whether you're hiring people from different leagues, the way they got Brian Steele from MLB, whether you're hiring people from the Justice Department or lawyers, like, these are people that have real jobs. It might take them a little bit of time to get from their jobs. So I think it could take some time to get this team fully ramped up. And, from my understanding, Brian is working really hard on that right now, trying to put together a team. But, I would think it has to be, a decent sized team, just given what we know, the issues are likely to be.
Has to be. Once the House settlement was announced on Friday, very quickly, everybody and their mom tweets out or goes on social media in one form or another and talks about how many more lawsuits are going to be coming out. There's going to be a deluge of lawsuits, and I'm sure there will be. But my biggest question now is, as far as how it works with the $20.5 million ceiling for this first year. And again, the power schools are bought into it. The other ones, who knows how much they're going to be able to spend as far as rev sharing. But the women, John, and Title IX sports and the equality that we've had, and rightly so for all these years, what happens when it comes to dispersing this money across the different sports when it comes to women's sports?
Yeah, they're going to get sued. That's clear. That's the one that I think people have circled as the most likely for a while now. But I've talked to multiple different Power 4 ADs about this, and they all essentially say kind of the same thing, and that is, I'm getting sued either way. I'd rather my football men's basketball team be good. So I think, if you did a 50-50 split, your football and men's basketball players, I think, have a path to a lawsuit that you're not following, what the revenue back pay is of the house settlement, what the revenue breakdown is for sports. So there's a lot of different ways. Again, it's a great time to be a lawyer in college sports, a lot of opportunities to sue. And Title IX, I think, there's already people gearing up to do that. But, that'll be interesting to see what happens there. We'll see what the lawsuits are. I think if NIL and rev share had to be done out of that kind of equal, it doesn't have to be quite 50-50, but in that ballpark number, it makes things very difficult based on what we know the percentages are going to be for rev share. I mean, right now, the average formula is about 75% to football, about 15% to men's basketball, maybe 5% to women's basketball, and 5% to all the other sports. So just imagine if that had to be split. It would drastically change what you'd be able to spend on football, men's basketball, and things like that. So, that process will probably take a while. Lawsuits, thinking about this House one, how long this is dragged out for. So Title IX lawsuits could probably take a good bit, but I do think that's kind of the next big wave of lawsuits you're probably going to see.
Do you, you've talked to a lot of people out there, do you believe, will every Power 4 conference school be at the $20.5 million cap?
No, I don't think it will. Some of these, it's been kind of interesting. Some have been a little cagey about revealing that. I think that there's at least, don't fully quote me on this, but I think there's at least one that's on the record, and I believe it's Houston, saying they're not fully funding year one. But certainly I've heard behind the scenes that some schools might not be at that number. The one that I've kind of heard, keep an eye out, is ACC. There's some small schools in that conference that might not be at that full 20.5 number, but I would expect at minimum everyone in the SEC and Big Ten to be at 20.5. But we know of at least one Big 12. I wouldn't be shocked if there were maybe a couple ACC and Big 12 schools that may not get fully at that 20.5 number year one. But certainly there's a lot of pressure on everybody to do it. And I think the thing to keep in mind, too, is that that number goes up. It's going to go up at least 4%. I think, a couple of years, 25+ million. So it's not just a year one problem. It's going to keep going up. And so that number could get harder and harder for some of these smaller schools to try to find a way to spend.
Another topic that has been brought up since the House settlement was the whole, all right, if you're Alabama or you're a school that has a prominent and, first-class football and men's basketball program, as opposed to, let's say, St. John's in the Big East that doesn't have football, well, they can obviously put more resources towards that than Alabama could. Or well, I guess they have they could if they wanted to put more toward basketball, but they're not going to. Or Ohio State or somebody like that, which gives them a decisive financial advantage. How do you see that?
Well, it's part of the reason why Kevin Willard left our alma mater for Villanova, because he was upset about what the revenue share split was going to be. So it's a real issue. I know that the SEC spring meetings, 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, in Destin, it came up in meetings, and there were some people that would like to see, sport-specific caps be put on place. So, for instance, it might be in the SEC, you can only spend $3 million on men's basketball or whatever it might be. Obviously, if you're a school at Kentucky, that's not something that you want to do at all. So that's part of the challenge with it. I'm curious to see what comes of that. Again, I think there's some people in the SEC and Big Ten, especially leaders-wise, that would like to see there be some sort of cap. But I don't really know how that would actually work, given that, like you said, it's really up to each school to spend how they want to spend. If Illinois wants to spend $15 million on basketball, they can. They don't have to spend 75% on football. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that there'll be caps. I know that some people want them. I guess we'll see how that plays out. But certainly there's an opportunity for Big East schools. Some people have mentioned A-10 schools as well. If you see a lane that you can pursue right now, I think it's possible. And it's also, I think, not to keep bringing this back to our school, but if you're Maryland, I think it's something you have to think about. Like, do you shave off maybe $3 million from football and give that to basketball instead, and decide, you know what, I've got a better shot at being really good at men's basketball than I do football? And so, again, everybody kind of thinks they're going to follow this formula that I mentioned earlier, but eventually people are going to start going zigzagging, right, and going different paths. And so that's what I'm going to be fascinated about is who goes really far one way or the other, who decides not to invest in football, who decides to put a lot of money in college baseball, whatever it might be. I think eventually we'll see more differentiation in that department.
Well, a school like Vanderbilt, does it really make a whole lot of sense to continue to pour the money into the football? Like if you're not going to be able to be competitive anyway, where you could put it in baseball where they've been really good, those type of things. On the Big East, obviously those schools got to come up with the money when they don't have football revenue coming in too. Like where, do you have any idea where those schools are going to be as far as the amount of revenue sharing they're going to be doing?
Yeah, I mean, so that's the flip side of it is that, St. John's can put anything they want in basketball because they don't have football, but they also don't get any of the money that comes from football, which, as you guys know, I think, from my understanding, drives about 80 to 85% of TV rights deals. So, they have a deal, obviously, with, Fox and others where they're getting some money, and they get stuff from, NCAA tournament and other things like that. So, I think that we've heard different numbers, what that total number ends up being. I think Big East schools, I think at the high end might be 10 million, a little bit more than that. I think you could see a decent amount in that 5 to 10 range. I think, schools like Villanova will be in that range. So I think it's probably going to be a combination of both, your school revenue that's already generated and then, also going to your donors. And, they've already been going to them for NIL and other things like that. It's now that, hey, make a donation through the school. You can get your tax benefits and all that kind of stuff. And then we can direct that toward, paying for this rev share. I think it was Texas Tech yesterday that said that, they're expecting their kind of fundraising arm to generate the majority of that $20.5 million. So I think you'll see schools, again, maybe pause some of their capital projects, pause some of the stadium renovations, and really direct their donors to helping them fund this rev share until it gets off and running.
Never a dull moment. It's only going to get busier and busier, and I'm sure John likes it that way. John, you working on your next novel, your next book?
It's funny. I had a call yesterday about that, so we'll see. Nothing cooking yet, but some ideas are percolating, so we'll see what ends up coming of it.
Well, keep up the great work. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author, national college sports reporter for CBS Sports. He's our good friend, John Tauti. You can follow him on Twitter at @JTauti. Thank you, John. Appreciate your time.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys.
Take care. James Gaddis Jewelers, second-hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. They are your bridal engagement and anniversary jeweler headquarters located at 4900 Poplar Avenue between Mendenhall and St. Nick, on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4. Look, it's pretty simple. You can go to the big box stores, right, and do your thing. You're just a number there. You might get a nice deal. Maybe not. But again, don't you want to go to a jeweler you can trust, a jeweler that has all the credentials, a jeweler that makes you feel like family? And that's what James Gaddis Jewelers is all about. For 6 decades, he's a master jeweler, certified appraiser, diamondologist. He's graded by the Gemologist Institute of America. Look, all their diamonds are independently graded and certified. So you're getting a good price, and you're getting a great ring. You're getting a great rock. So if you're getting engaged this summer, this fall, make sure James Gaddis Jewelers is one of the jewelers you check out. And, of course, for all your jewelry needs, they are full-service jewelers with 2 bench jewelers ready to serve you. You're looking for a special gift for a birthday, anniversary, graduation, whatever the case may be. They have everything from beautiful watches to bracelets to necklaces to earrings to pendants, plus that one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry that they're always adding to their collection. Go see them in the heart of East Memphis, 4900 Poplar Avenue. James Gaddis Jewelers, open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4. They're closed on Sunday. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Defense guns, guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Brandon, Durant, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Shop online at ClassicArmsAndMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Countertop Parkway behind Parky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home or office. Call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 or visit MemphisMoldInspector.com.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of area jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by area just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier is the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
I was checking out this story during the break. It is about a sports business CEO who predicts a divide between the SEC and the rest of college football. Of course, that's been kind of talked about by some here in, I don't know, the last few years. But a guy named Len Perna says he predicts it'll be a future dispute over collective bargaining with college athletes. The result, SEC schools competing in one league, everyone else competing in the other. The schools in the SEC have a lot of politics wrapped around not bargaining with a union of student athletes. There's a lot of history around right-to-work states and the boards of those SEC schools. This is according to Perna. I don't think that the SEC will ever really be comfortable with collective bargaining with college football players, but I am very confident that schools in the Northeast, the Midwest, all throughout the Big Ten region and out West will land on collective bargaining as a way to create a package of work rules that govern the transfer of talent, the transfer portal, a salary floor, a salary cap, all the things that create competitive balance in pro sports. That would suck. Why would you want to do that? Just have your own league. Just that's it. Your whole thing, crown your champions. I don't think they'd want to do that. I don't think anybody would want the best. They're not all the best teams. Obviously, the national champions in football have come from the Big Ten the last few years. But the point is, I think all the top competitors want to see all the top competitors. It's like why they try to put an asterisk next to the Lakers when they won the COVID NBA title. Look, they won the NBA title. Fair and square, they won it. It's just the way it was. But if you have future sports that does not include Georgia and Alabama and Ole Miss and so on and so forth, that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous on both ends. So hopefully that is not going to come to fruition.
It'll always come down to one thing, and that is money. The tee times for the first 2 rounds of the U.S. Open have been announced, and early morning on Thursday, you will have among some of the top groups 6:18 Central Time. Louis Oberg, Adam Scott, Hideki Matsuyama will be together. Xander Schauffele, Bryson DeChambeau, and the U.S. Amateur champion Jose Louis Ballester will be going at 6:29 on Thursday morning. Rory McIlroy, talk about a very comfortable grouping. How about Rory McIlroy, Shane Lowry, Justin Rose? They got the Team Europe Ryder Cup team going. That's at 6:40 on Thursday morning. That they'll be going off. They'll be going off the 10th tee. Among the afternoon groups, Scotty Scheffler will tee it up first on Thursday in the first round, 12:25 Central Time. Scheffler will play the first 2 rounds with Victor Hovland and Colin Morikawa. Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka, Minwoo Lee will go at 12:03 on Thursday. Jordan Spieth, John Rahm, Dustin Johnson will be at 12:14 on Thursday afternoon. They'll go off the 10th tee on Thursday for their first round. So some of the premier groups for the first 2 rounds of the U.S. Open.
Dustin Johnson says it's the hardest course he's ever played. We'll talk more about that in hour 3 with Mickey Barker and then with Steve Sands from the Golf Channel on NBC. So we were talking about Zach Edey yesterday, and I didn't see this until now, the quote from Mark Bartelstein of Priority Sports. He told ESPN, after consulting with the Grizzlies and multiple specialists, we decided this is the best approach for Zach long-term as it gets him back to 100% with no limitations. At least that's the hope. He will make a full recovery and be back better than ever. After consulting with the Grizzlies and multiple specialists, we decided this is the best approach. He's referring to everyone, right? We as a collective unit decided this is the best because certainly an agent isn't walking in and saying exactly what's going to happen as far as surgery is concerned for his or her client. But that was a comment by Bartelstein. The other thing I'm looking for, and I don't see it anywhere with Shams, I thought I just saw on the ticker on ESPN, according to Windhorse, but it said also with Shams that Giannis Antetokounmpo is willing to let teams make offers, look into the possibility. He's looking at the best situation. So I haven't seen that on his Twitter, but that's what it said, I think, on the ticker. And that's interesting.
That was the goofy report a long time ago that he's willing, like whatever. It makes no sense because who cares? Yes, of course he's willing.
Yeah, but I thought over the weekend I did see a story that said they feel that it's not going to happen. He'll be back in Milwaukee, and that may very well happen, but that there was nothing to it. And now I see this, and I don't see that on his Twitter, but that's the case. Well, again, that's interesting. At least it brings up some interest from probably every team out there in the NBA that maybe the big fish can be landed, and he is the big fish. Obviously, Durant's a big fish as well. KD's getting traded. That is going to happen. But the big fish in Giannis Antetokounmpo, maybe a possibility. One final thing before we take our break. Sad news yesterday from the world of entertainment. Sly Stone passed away. Sly and the Family Stone, for those who go back to the late 60s, early 70s, some of the great music, funk, before funk was anything, right? Before it was something. Cool before coolness was cool. Sly Stone was something else, and that music was very poignant. It was very important, I think, in the landscape of music. But Sly Stone passing away yesterday. I thought he had passed away years ago, but saw the news, and certainly that is sad news from the world of entertainment. When we come back, hour 3 of the program, like I said, plenty of golf talk with the U.S. Open beginning on Thursday. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of area jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Area just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier is the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Something amazing is happening at work. Innovative tools are helping people do better work. That's because CDW configuration specialists are multiplying productivity with Microsoft Windows 11 Pro Surface devices. Built-in security, flexibility, and simplified management will streamline tasks so your team can get more done. Microsoft and CDW, making things happen. Learn more at cdw.com/service.
There is an army of people that work overnight, pulling the kind of hours most of us would never even attempt. And for those of you that live that life, we encourage you to end your shift by swinging by Sunrise on Jefferson or Sunrise East on Poplar. Not only will you find the freshest, tastiest, quickest breakfast made just for you, you'll also find a full bar at both Sunrise locations, so you can unwind like the rest of us with a cocktail to go with that breakfast. Overnighters, come to Sunrise and knock back a Bloody Mary and say, long night, lovely morning at Sunrise.
Online radio show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Nancy Porter with 24/7 Sports. Your Ole Miss defensive guy with Mike Fitzsimmons. Gordon Ford covering SEC sports ball. And former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Garvey from kickoff to free throw to extra innings. Your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show. Right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South sports station.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Wrapping up a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. Trying to build a little bit more in the Midtown area. I-40 here at Chelsea. 240 northbound up by Lamar as it starts to build coming up from the south on 55 up through South Haven. All that traffic coming up from DeSoto County has been in pretty good shape so far. Dandelions, nutgrass, crabgrass, Lawn Solutions can make your yard look beautiful this summer. Call Lawn Solutions today. These guys are absolutely the best. 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, with Dave Willotion, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:04 the time. Final hour for us today here on this Tuesday, June 10th, 2025 edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you, broadcasting live and local from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road. That is just north of I-40. Currently 74 degrees. Should get up to about 90 today with an abundance of sunshine tonight, clear skies, and a low of 64. Hour 3 of the program. is brought to you each and every day by James. No, not by James Gaddis Jewelers. They are our second hour sponsor. I'll tell you a little bit more about Jenkins Floors and more later on in this hour. But for flooring, for carpeting, it's Jenkins Floors and more, the third hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. But right now, it is time to talk some golf with Mickey Barker. He is indeed the golf administrator for the city of Memphis, the Hall of Fame golfer from Lipscomb University. He is Mickey Barker. You can follow him on Twitter at MickeyBarker1. He joins us each and every week during the golf season. And what a big week it is coming up, Mickey. How are you?
Great, Greg. Eli, how are you guys?
Doing fantastic.
Yeah, this is a big week. And the U.S. Open's always a lot of fun. It's not my favorite. The Masters week is always my favorite, but the U.S. Open is the second. I love how difficult it plays, and this is the ultimate at Oakmont.
Do you get more people coming out to play the week of the U.S. Open, or do they stay to watch at home the U.S. Open, and maybe they'll come back and get rejuvenated and energized to play golf the following week? What's the traffic like?
I think we get more during the tournament, during tournament week with the U.S. Open than we do at the Masters. I think more people stay home to watch the Masters and then come out afterwards. That's kind of the kickoff of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Right now kicks off our really busy time. June, July, August is when the courses get the most rounds of golf. Of course, the days are longer than the rest of the time of the year, but this is when we really get cranking.
The videos from some of the players showing just how deep the rough is at Oakmont and how difficult this is going to be. What's the worst rough you've ever had to play in?
Well, the three times I think that I have played Oakmont, I guess that would probably
really. So just on a normal day, the rough is terrible.
The saying is that in 2 weeks' notice, they can host a major championship. And so they're pretty much tough all the time. Now, the first time I played it back right after Lauren Roberts lost in the playoff, I think it was 95 or so, the rough was about knee deep, but it was wispy, so you could find the golf ball. It wasn't like, you go out in the pasture and you can't find a golf ball. You could find it, but then it looked like you'd have a great lie, but the rough would wrap around the club and you'd hit it, 20 yards up the fairway.
So 3 times you played Oakmont. What were the occasions?
Just my wife is from that area. She's from northeastern Ohio. And so I just went over and all 3 times played by myself, had a caddy. We went through a few members every now and then. One of the times the greens had been aerified, sometime around, a few weeks ahead. They were perfect to me. I mean, they were absolutely perfect. We went through a group of ladies, and she said, "I'm so sorry about the condition of our greens. Please come back when they're better." And I was like, oh, my goodness.
What were they running? Do you remember?
They were probably, they were the fastest greens I'd ever putted on every time I played on them.
Oh, wow.
And I asked the caddy once, I said, after I 3-putted again on the 10th hole, I said, how did they keep the ball on the green? And he said, "Oh, they weren't this fast for the U.S. Open." And he had caddied in the Open. Yeah, it really is true that they slow it down some for the Open.
So if you have rough like they're going to have this deep rough, obviously, now these guys are strong as heck. But what's the secret, or if there is one, of getting the ball out of the rough? What's the best approach to that?
Well, obviously not hitting it in there, but getting really steep on the shot so that the club doesn't have a chance to wrap through. With Bermuda rough, you have to hit really down on it. That's going to be fescue, ryegrass up there, cool season grasses, and again, it's just trying to hit the ball first, even if you aren't able to follow through much. But if you can get the club on the ball to get it up as vertical as quickly as possible.
Because Ben Griffin posted a picture or a video yesterday, and he dropped his ball into it, and at first you're looking straight down, I can see the ball, but then he turns to the side. I mean, that's 4 or 5 inches of grass, and that ball's just sitting down in the bottom. Like, how the heck you hack that thing out of there?
Yeah, I think what they're going to find is you're going to have a lot of guys when they're going to drive it as far as they can drive it, and so that when they hack that sand wedge or wedge out, they're closer to the green. It's just going to be now with the trees all gone. now the rough is thicker and deeper and denser. So they're just going to be hacking it out and getting it up the fairway somewhere and try to get up and down for par.
Is it also, I assume, a long course where you won't see 3 woods, maybe to try to offset the rough going off the fairway, maybe more 3 woods with as far as these guys hit the ball. But
I think that's what some of the guys were asking the players were, okay, so if driving is a premium, so if you've got to be in the fairway, are you going to lay back with a driving iron or a fairway wood or something, 260, 270, and then have longer shot? No, we're going to go ahead and hit driver. So, it is long enough that you've got to get it up there, and they feel like, 320 off the tee in the rough is way better than being 270 off the tee and hitting a long iron in the greens. Those greens are extremely difficult to hit. I mean, I remember one of the holes, I think it's like 6 or 7. It's got some fingers to the green, and the bunker right at the back edge of the green was. I stepped off in it, and it was almost up to my shoulders. It was so deep, and it was, it was 5 steps from the hole. It's crazy.
If I could hit a driving iron as far as those guys could hit a driving iron, I don't think I'd ever hit anything other than a driving iron. But again, I'm also not playing 500-yard par 4s like they are either. But the way these guys now hit driving irons, I don't know, why wouldn't you hit that on every hole?
Right, and I had always wondered that about Tiger. Tiger could hit the Stinger in his heyday, 260, 270, and most all the time it was right up the middle. Why did he not do that? But he still won, hitting it all over the lot.
He did all right.
Yeah,
he put together a good career.
He did just fine. But the 18th hole is now over 500 yards. I remember the last time I played there, and
it's up the hill, right?
The second shot is back up the hill. It's a little bit downhill off the tee and then back uphill, out of bounds to the right, out of bounds behind the green. The green has a lot of undulation in it, and I hit one of the best drives that I'd hit, and this was several years ago when I was considerably longer, and I hit the best 2-iron of my life to get it onto the green.
2-iron, wow.
It is like this past week I was watching the tournament on Saturday, and Cameron Champ, who hits it a long, long way. Right. Like they put up the graphic, drive 400 yards.
Yeah.
And whatever to the tee. And I'm like, we're hitting 400 yards drive. What are we doing? Like we're hitting, they're playing these par 4s now that are 530 yards, and they're hitting sand wedges into those, and I can't compute that in my brain.
Right. It really is amazing. If you think about Galloway that everybody's played so many times, number 1 is a par 5. And so it's a lot of fun par 5. Most everybody that plays well can reach it in 2. So that would be a standard par 4. It's 490 yards or something like that. That would just be a ho-hum par 4.
Yeah, they would be hitting little chip wedges.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Dustin Johnson, I said this earlier in the show, said it's the hardest course he's ever played. Is it considered the hardest course? Like, what U.S. Open venue is considered the hardest?
I think Oakmont is. I think over the years that's always the when they say, okay, what's the hardest test? That's it. You've had
Bethpage was really
Bethpage was really, really hard. They talk about it being difficult. Now the last time they played there, it didn't play quite as hard. I think Koepka won maybe, but it's. Year in and year out, I think it's considered one of the
part of it's always, a lot of that will always depend on what weather do you get that week.
Right.
To affect it. If you get a really windy conditions, any of these like that becomes a whole different ballgame.
Especially now that it is why they've taken it back to completely when it was built back, early 1900s or whatever it was. There's no trees whatsoever.
You provided some numbers for us with the slope and the course rating. Tell us what they are and what it means.
So the slope of Oakmont now, I gave you some wrong information a couple of weeks ago. It is now 147, and so they're saying the average golf course is 113. Galloway is 113. So you can see the difficulty level. The course rating is 77.5. So a scratch golfer would probably shoot 77, 78 on that golf course on a good day. It's par 71. They'll play it as par 70 during the tournament.
So about 7 shots
over par. Under typical conditions. Of course, Oakmont typically is difficult. It's almost U.S. Open difficulty.
All right, before we switch gears, talk obviously local golf and city golf here in Memphis. Rory really struggled in Canada. He's got an issue with the driver. I don't know. I'm sure he'll get it rectified, but I wonder how much of a factor that will be coming in. Scheffler's the odds-on favorite to win it. What do you expect to see?
I expect Rory to play better. I think now that we're in a major, you'll get his attention. He could not have a better pairing than he does with Lowry and Rose. I mean, that's unbelievable that you put your best friends that you have on tour in the same group. But anyway,
I'm sure they've played together. I'm sure they've played a few rounds together in their day.
I mean,
how do they do that? By the way,
the USGA, they like to have fun with their pairings. One year they put guys' names that all sounded alike in the same group. So, they do a lot of different things.
Pick it from a hat or something.
Right. The tour has criteria. They do it, and they put winners together, and they have groups. If you haven't won, you're going to be in you're going to get the worst pairings or worst times. But if you have won, you're going to get the better. The U.S. Open just kind of does their own thing. They always put like they put Bryson and Schauffele together with the
amateur champion.
That's always
that's a set thing.
That's
right?
always a set thing.
It's the PGA, U.S. Open, and the U.S. Amateur.
Correct. Last year's. Or
is it? I guess it's the British. Is it British Open, U.S. Open, and?
Oh yeah, I guess that is because Schauffele won both last year. Yeah, so it is British Open, U.S. Open, and then U.S. Amateur winner.
Why don't they put the Masters winner?
That's just what they've always done. As far as
So who wins? Is it Scheffler again?
Oh, I think so. If I got to pick one player, I think you'll see DeChambeau play well. Of course, they would be winning back to back. It's happened very few times that somebody's won the U.S. Open back to back. So if I've got to pick one, it's definitely Scheffler. Yeah.
Do you think? I think it was Schauffele talking about this yesterday that most fans want to see the best in the world struggle. I don't know if that's always the case. No, we go out to TPC South when to watch the FedEx St. Jude Championship to see really good golf and good shot making. Right. But I don't think it's don't blame us, Xander, that we once in a blue moon, and it's usually the U.S. Open, we want to see guys hit some shots that we deal with, right? Off the fairway, in the rough, how hard it is to get it out. So I guess the question is it too tough for these guys?
No, I don't think so. These guys are so talented. I think the USGA, their kind of motto now with the U.S. Open is we don't want to embarrass the best players in the world. We just want to identify them. And so if you make it tough enough where the cream has to rise to the top, I think that's what you're looking for. If that's 5 under par, great. If that's 5 over par, great. That's what they're looking for.
The thing that seems like for what they get mad about, I guess, is we had a course like when the greens get like baked out where good shots aren't rewarded. That's the thing that as long as their good shots are being rewarded, they're fine with it. They understand how tough it is, but if I hit a good shot, I should be rewarded for that.
Right. I think a few years ago when they kind of changed a little bit at Shinnecock Hills, the greens got away from them, and they were having to go in between groups and syringe the greens and water them down because the ball wouldn't stay on the green. That's losing control of the golf course, going a little bit too far. They don't want that. That won't happen at Oakmont because they're used to having U.S. Opens. They know what it's difficult.
You can complain about the rough all you want. Well, just don't hit it in the rough.
Right.
Like you have the ability.
Easier said than
it's
done.
when you hit the good shot and it ends up bad. You're like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I just hit a really good shot and I didn't get rewarded.
Right. If you hit a good shot out of the fairway and it stays on the green, then that's fine. Now you may have really a lot of trouble 3-putting because you put it on the wrong spot in the green, but that's fair.
All right, local golf, city golf. You had the girls' golf day cut short last weekend because of the monsoon, I guess, early on Saturday. But still well attended and still were able to do it.
Yeah, we still had a great day. We had over 40 girls there that showed up and braved us for a little while and got introduced to the game just slightly, and some people that have made their living in the game. And so we're reaching out to all those girls. Every girl that registered is now going to get a complimentary 1-hour golf lesson from a local PGA professional. All they got to do is sign up. So the Tennessee PGA section set that up, and so that's going to be great for them. One thing I'd like to announce, and I forgot to in the last week, is that our Memphis Amateur Championship that's coming up the third week in July this year is going to have official world amateur rankings. So the top finishers in that will get ranking points for the world ranking.
How about that?
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's really cool. All right, you got a parent-child event coming up at the Overton Park 9?
Maybe one of our most well-attended events. It's the most fun event that we have all year. We've already got 111 people signed up for that. The deadline is this coming Wednesday. And so that is a parent-child, two-person event. We'll go all day Saturday at Overton.
Is there a limit? How many can register?
Not really. We'll take as many as possible, as many as we have time for. We'll go from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. tea times.
What else you got coming up?
Well, again, the Memphis Amateur Championship is coming up the third week in July. Please sign up for that. Go to memphispubliclinks.com. That's our big event of the year. Will be a lot of fun. We'll have that will be at Galloway, Fox Meadows, and Audubon will be the finale. We definitely want to identify the best players with these amateur ranking points on the line. Audubon's going to play like a real championship that day.
What's the process to begin to get rankings points?
That was Austin Chin was able to do that. He solicited the ranking criteria. He turned all that in, and since we're a 3-day event, that we met all the criteria. It's just that you have to be established for so long, and we've been established since before 1969. And so there's just a few things like that we have enough players each year that get into it. It's definitely an amateur-only event, so that qualified us for that.
By the way, I saw Austin out there at Audubon with a bunch of kids, young golfers. So I assume that you guys have camps.
We do. The last couple of weeks he's been doing Nike Junior Golf camps. He's in the second final week. This week, next week we've got a combined the week after that we've got a combined junior camp with the tennis center, Leftwich Tennis Center. So they'll have tennis in the morning and then they'll come over and have golf lessons afterwards. So,
yeah, I think that's really cool. And again, for future, just go to the website to register.
Yes, memphispubliclinks.com, and you can get everything is right there. All of our tournaments are there. And we'll have a senior event later in the year. We've got the MAC coming up, as I said, in July. So memphispubliclinks.com.
All right, next week, Sean will be in for you, pinch
Sean
hitting.
McFetridge, the facility manager at Galloway. He can come in and tell you exactly how busy we've been there at Galloway.
All right, have a great week. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Sounds great. Thanks, sir.
That is Mickey Barker. He is the golf administrator for the city of Memphis, the Hall of Fame golfer from Lipscomb University. You can follow him on Twitter at Mickey Barker1. Again, hour number 3 of the program brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More, 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and Little Rock, Arkansas. If it's flooring you're looking for, carpeting you're looking for, they have it. SPC, WPC vinyls. They have backsplashes for your kitchens and bathrooms, plantation shutters and blinds, and so much more. They sell it to you wholesale. Skip the middleman and save you lots of money in the process. Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins started this business about 8-9 years ago down in Cleveland, Mississippi, and it's done really, really well because, look, their attention to detail, their quality of work, their carpeting from Southern Luxury Carpet, their hardwoods from Portercraft, it's top of the line. And they do a great job. If you want them to install, they can do so in a 2-week turnaround. That's their promise to you. Just call them at 662-469-9350. They'll come to you. They'll bring you samples. They'll give you a free estimate, and they'll get the job done in 2 weeks. So call them or come by and see them. Open Monday through Friday. It's Jenkins Floors and More. More on the U.S. Open. When we return, we head to Oakmont. Steve Sands from the Golf Channel on NBC will join us. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM. Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Well, there's some things about the Rendezvous I'm going to talk about. For example, we make it really easy to park. We have valet parking right at my Monroe Street and our alley, we also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door and put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for 6 or more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the Rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the Rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear, please listen carefully for our menu listing. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of the mother's maiden name, dial it now. Come see us at the Rendezvous. Since 1948, the Rendezvous.
The NBA Finals are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is pulling out all the stops to make this a finals to remember. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The code is HERD, H-E-R-D, for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins by betting just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Still a little bit of volume coming down I-40 westbound right now from, let's say, Fayette County into Shelby County here at Chambers Chapel, Canada Road. Midtown traffic's trying to pick up with more volume. 240 north up by Lamar, starting to increase with that traffic. 40 east across the Hernando de Soto Bridge, coming over from Crittenden County over from West Memphis. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Stop by and see them today at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This hour brought to you by Sports 56 once again, and Greg Gaston.
Mentioned earlier a couple of the holdouts going on at mandatory mini camps around the National Football League with Trey Hendrickson, TJ Watt. Terry McLaurin also is holding out. He wants a new deal with the Washington Commanders. James Cook, he's seeking a new contract with the Bills, but Cook is actually at minicamp, saving some money.
Doesn't want to pay the fines.
Right.
It's like $100,000, I believe it is.
Yeah, McLaurin could really rack up some big-time penalties as far as not making it to minicamp, and it does not appear that he will. College Baseball World Series championship odds. The Arkansas Razorbacks, one of the teams that have not won it, are the favorites at plus 195, then LSU at plus 240. So of the 8 teams, 2 from the SEC, they are your top 2. The Chanticleers at plus 600, third pick. Then Oregon State at plus 650. UCLA with that pitching, Eli, plus 850. Arizona plus 1,400. Louisville plus 1,600. And the Cinderella Racers from Murray State are plus 4,000.
And Arkansas and LSU have to play each other in the first game, so it will be one of them will have a difficult task of coming back from a loser's bracket.
It is golf major time. It is the U.S. Open from Oakmont, Pennsylvania. And when it's major time, we get to talk to one of the best in the business, Steve Sands from the Golf Channel on NBC, joining us now on the program. Mr. Sands, how you doing?
Dr. Gaston, how are you? Eli? The College World Series, by the way, I did it twice in the late 90s. Man, oh man, is that a great event.
Everybody says that. That's one of my things I would like to
me
do
too.
sometime. Everybody says it is awesome.
I mean, it was great at the Blatt, and then they moved to the new stadium. It's still great. The atmosphere, Omaha, the whole town's alive. That's a great event. And for your guys' sake, I hope the Hogs do well, man. It'd be fun. Fun to see them make a run.
Yeah, it's interesting, not to get off track here, but we were talking about this earlier. You have all these different conferences represented. You have 2 from the SEC, but you have a team from the Missouri. You have a team from the Sun Belt. You have an independent team right now in Oregon State, which will be back in the pack once they get going again this upcoming season. But the point is that it doesn't seem like the era of NIL has disrupted baseball right now. Who knows what will happen in the future? But right now, you have 5 straight winners. They're all from the SEC, but they're all different winners. And you have teams now that you didn't expect to get in. So I like that there's the diversity that you have in college baseball.
Well, NIL has ruined everything in college sports, so just give it time, Greg.
All right, Steve. So we were just talking a little bit earlier with our local golf guy about the course. He's played Oakmont 3 different times and talked about the brutality of it, how hard it is. And I mean, just can you put it into layman's terms, just what type of test that the best in the world are facing this week?
By the way, a little synergy between Oakmont and the U.S. Open and the College World Series. The last time that the U.S. Open was staged here was 2016, and Dustin Johnson won, Coastal Carolina guy. So, Coastal Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So, look, Oakmont is the quintessential, if you're our age, if you're, 40 and above, and you think of the U.S. Open, Oakmont is the quintessential U.S. Open golf course. The greens are going to run about 15 on the stimp. They're sloping all over the course, all over the place. The rough is disgustingly hard. You have to hit the fairways. Now, it is a little bit soft because it's been raining the last few days, a lot of rain here in the area. But the golf course is an absolute monster, and it's going to look and feel like a U.S. Open for sure. 10th time the U.S. Open has been staged here. They've held it here more than any other venue in the United States. And it's just going to be awesome. It's going to be a really, really tough test.
You said that was 2016. That was the last time they held it there.
2016. Yep.
Why isn't it there more often? Not that it's every 9 years. I know they got a lot of other courses, but if it was kind of that perfect U.S. Open kind of golf course, why not even go there more often?
Well, if you remember, Eli, they kind of got into that weird Erin Hills, Chambers Bay type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, they've rectified that. It is now Oakmont, Wingfoot, Pebble, Torrey, Pinehurst, Marion, all the people at Shinnecock, that kind of stuff, where we're going next year for the U.S. Open. And Oakmont is clearly on the list of USGA venues. So they've gotten it back to that rotation, kind of like the Open Championship rotation that we'll have next, in the summer, with Royal Portrush next month. So Oakmont will be in the rota, if you will, now every 7, 8, 9 years, as it should be. It belongs here at least once a decade, and now it's ensured that it will for the next couple of decades for sure.
Is it the hardest course out there?
Oh yeah, I mean, Angel Cabrera. It's weird. Angel Cabrera won here in 2007, and he was +5. Dustin Johnson won here in 2016, and he was 4 under par. Now they were coming off of Chambers Bay in 2015, and that was a debacle. And I think they wanted to make sure that they didn't do anything ridiculous, even though they did do something ridiculous that week with Dustin Johnson and ruling and all that kind of stuff. But Dustin was 4 under par. But I think most people think this week you're going to see some scores. You'll see a 67 or a 68, that kind of stuff, maybe even a 66. But at the end of the week, most people here are saying over par is going to win. And you're talking about the best players on the planet in technology in 2025. You know, if an over par score wins this week, it'll cement Oakmont as the most difficult place to host a U.S. Open for sure.
How deep is the rough? Like, what are we talking here?
Well, you put those beautiful Nike shoes you got on right now, Eli, or whatever you're wearing. You know, those Bruno Mollies when you're doing a show.
Yes, yeah,
and
that's it.
You suit in the rough, one step off the fairway, you wouldn't be able to see your shoes. There have been players who have been dropping golf balls into the rough and literally not being able to see the golf ball with their own eyes when they're standing over it or on camera when it's focused in. So it's pretty thick. Now, if it stays consistent like that, they're not going to mow it. But if they stay consistent and it's not sketchy rough, you know, it's nasty rough all over the place, and it's going to be very, very difficult. However, like I said, the rain has softened the course a little bit. It's not supposed to rain again until Sunday, but if it stays dry, that rough is not going to be, you know, golf balls will people think of a long, hard golf course like an Oakmont. When it rains, it widens those fairways because the ball doesn't bound into those fairways when it's firm and fast. So you might not see as many golf balls bounce into the rough, but if you are in the rough, I mean, my goodness, you're going to have a tall task in front of you.
So that, because I saw Ben Griffin yesterday that posted a video of that. But that's like immediately off the fairway. There's not like a first cut and then it gets to the long stuff. It's immediately off the fairway. It's the long stuff.
I saw that Ben Griffin video. Bryson DeChambeau also did a little video as well. And no, it's nasty. I mean, it's everywhere. The rough is very, very penal here. That's the way Oakmont wants it. That's the way the USGA wants it. You know what? I think that's what the players want. The players need to be fair. You know, they want to have, you know, say 6 ridiculous holes, 6 holes that are medium and 6 holes that you have a chance on. But the rough, per se, on every hole gives you basically no chance to do anything. You're going to see a lot of hacking out, a lot of punching out, a lot of balls that will be staying in the rough because they just couldn't get it out of there. It's going to be a serious test. If you don't hit the fairway here, ball strikers will do well here this week. If you don't hit the ball well off the tee, if you don't hit your irons crisply, and you're in the rough either off the tee or off the green, my gosh, you're gonna have some big numbers.
With all that said, the odds are pretty good that there will be at least one player after his round that talks about an unfair test or something to that ilk.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Bruce Koepka and Jack Nicklaus, of all things, said the same thing in different times, in different eras. But they said, you know, the thing about major championships is the week even begins because they're complaining so much. And if you're complaining about the rough this week, Greg, and you have no chance, it is what it is, and all 156 players will play it. And if you get a bad lie, you get a bad lie. Rory McIlroy told me last week in Toronto at the RBC Canadian Open, he said you just have to avoid, because he played a practice round there on Monday that was incredibly difficult. You just have to avoid the big numbers. You have to avoid the double bogeys. You know, so I'm thinking to myself, you have 72 holes. If you can get 60 pars, and those other 12 holes, if you can get, you know, 9 bogeys and 3 birdies, or 6 and 6, you know, that kind of thing, you're going to be an even par if you have 6 and 6. But if you start putting double bogeys on the card and you start complaining, well, you can get crossed off the list pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well, you bring up Rory. Obviously struggled mightily last week up in Toronto. Has he got the driver figured out again? Can he drive it straight enough and keep it in the fairways here to contend?
Not last week he didn't, Eli. It was rough, man. He was hitting it all over the place. He got that new driver after the PGA Championship, or during the PGA Championship, and he's trying to figure it out. He went home, got a couple of extra practice days, and then, you know, got up to Oakmont earlier this week. And I think, you know, look, if he drives the ball well, he will have a chance this week. he drives the ball the way he drove it at Quail Hollow at the PGA and drives it the way he drove it at Toronto, he won't break 80.
Yeah.
A scratch player, a legit scratch. Not some guy who said he's a scratch or a 1 or a 2, but a legit scratch player would not break 90 on this golf course, maybe not even 100. So if you drive the ball poorly, if you're Rory McIlroy and you drive the ball poorly, you have zero chance of playing well here this week.
Wait, did you just say a regular scratch golfer, like regular Joe, who happens to be a scratch golfer? I guess you're not regular when you're scratch, but you're saying they wouldn't break 90?
I've talked to 3 or 4 players on the PGA Tour, and they all said the same thing, independent of each other. If you were a tremendous player at home at your club or whatever course you play, whatever, and you're a scratch, a legit scratch, not some guy who says, "Oh, I'm a 3, but he's really an 11." He's a legit scratch. Every one of them said he would not break 90 on this golf.
Oh my gosh!
No chance.
Well, again, I mean, if we're talking about the best in the world, possibly nobody being able to shoot under par,
right?
I mean,
but for me,
there are a lot of strokes better than everybody else on the planet.
I'm not a scratch golfer. I'm an average golfer. Mid 80s to mid 90s. I'm shooting 200.
It'd be a long day. I would, Greg, if I were you, I would just stop at the turn, grab a hot dog, sit on the deck, have a few beers, and watch everybody else go.
If you're playing the current with this rough, if you didn't have spotters out there, you'd lose a ball, and every time you hit it in the rough, you'd never find it.
That's true.
Well, if you saw the Ben Griffin and Bryson DeChambeau videos from yesterday, guys, you could lose your golf ball if you can sing right over it.
Yeah. So
It'd
that's
be very, very challenging. Now, here's what I'm going to say: there will be some scores here, but at the end of the week, it will not be something low. But there will be someone whose life, over the course of 4 days, shoot a 66 or a 67, something like that. But that no-name, whoever that person is, shoots a 67 on Thursday. He'll shoot a 79 on Friday and maybe not make the cut.
Well, again, these guys are really darn good, and the best of them is a guy playing extremely well. And you talk about ball striking, you talk about being able to hit fairways. I mean, it seems like it sets up for Scotty Scheffler once again, like it normally does.
Randall Chambly had a great line the other night on the golf channel. Somebody asked him who's going to win at Oakmont. He goes, "Oh yeah, it's really."
Oh, Steve, we lost you there for a second. Say that one more time. We're losing you, brother.
Oh, no. Can you hear me?
There we go. Now we got you.
Okay. So Brandon Chambly got asked, who's going to win? He goes, "Oh, it's early. I got to get up there. I got to see the golf course. Got to talk to some players, that kind of thing." And, they were trying to press him on it. And he goes, "Well, okay, well, what do you think the winning score will be?" He goes, "Whatever Scotty shoots." So I thought that was a great line. You know what? Ball striker, Eli, Scotty Scheffler. Need to find a fairway, a little bit of a fade. You've got to find a Scotty Scheffler. Short game is amazing. The mindset's there. And I've told you guys this for years. Jack Nicklaus famously said, "You don't find a game in a major, you bring your game to a major."
Yeah.
And nobody's playing better right now than Scotty Scheffler.
All right, we're losing you. We appreciate your time. Your pick is it going to be Scheffler? And then give me a dark horse.
I'll take the trifecta of Harris English, Tommy Fleetwood, and Scotty Scheffler.
Wow.
I like that pick of Harris English. Tommy Fleetwood, does he ever win anything? I mean, he's always good for third place.
No, he never wins anything.
That's why I said it's a trifecta.
This could be a great week for him. It's a tri-box. We're going to tri-box those three and see if we can get it on.
He is the best.
If you hit those three as a top three, that would be the most amazing prediction ever.
Well, Monday will be Steve Sands' day on Sports 56 mornings. If that happens.
You need Fleetwood or English to win to really pay off that trifecta. Scheffler wins, you don't get to pay that much.
I'm just looking, Eli, all I'm doing is looking for free barbecue in Memphis when we're there.
Maybe you throw sovereignty in there as well. He is Steve Sands from the Golf Channel on NBC, getting ready for coverage of the U.S. Open from Oakmont, which begins on Thursday. Steve, thank you. We will talk. We'll figure out something for Royal for was it Royal? Where are they at? The
Port
Rush.
Rush.
Yeah, we'll figure out something. Hopefully, we can get you on for that, or before you leave for the major out in the where's it? Scotland or Great Britain? I mean, in England.
Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. So we'll try to get Steve before he heads out there.
Clearly, they didn't teach geography at Salisbury State, did they, Eli?
I didn't go there. You know, I went to Maryland, but they didn't teach it at Maryland
They
either.
don't teach anything at Maryland, so who cares?
By the way, Steve, did you see Dan Quinn's commencement speech at Salisbury?
I did, yes. Beautiful.
We're going to, hopefully have him on in a couple of weeks. Hey, you're the best. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right, fellas. Take care.
You do.
Folks, moving can be stressful, but not when you got the professionals from Black Tie Moving. They'll take that stress and worry out of the process for you. So making sure that your belongings get where they're going without any issues, without any problems, making it easy on you to focus on all the other things that you got to take care of. Whether you're moving across town or across country, wherever it is, maybe it's a new home, maybe it's a new office space, whatever. Folks at Black Tie Moving are there to help. 901-316-6196. That's 901-316-6196. Or you can go to the website blacktiemoving.com/Memphis. Talk to the folks at Black Tie. They'll work with you to come up with a plan for your move, fitting your needs, number one, fitting your budget, number two. And those are both very, very important. And you will get a no obligation quote up front from the folks at Black Ties. It's always a first-class experience that you're going to get. People rave about it. 5-star ratings all over the place online. That's what you get with the folks at Black Tie Moving.
You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. Miramichi is now open on Mondays, and you'll find the lowest rate is on Thursday. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
It's time for the pro to get everything for the entire job, all from one partner. To get access to over 3 million products, including many products you won't find in our stores. It's time to get delivery on your schedule or next day on over 50,000 products. And time to get dedicated support on the job site or in our stores. Order to planning, production, or department. Any job, all in. Ask about all week. Now it's time for the pro to see the only pro is on time.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199. At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. Here once again, our Greg Gaston and Eli
This has been out there for a while, but Wendy reporting Kevin Durant that the Knicks have interest in him, and obviously they did during the season because they tried to trade for him before the trade deadline. So I would imagine after the Thibodeau firing, and that they're probably you're not going to implode a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals, but if you can add Kevin Durant, why not take another swing at him? So Wendy reporting that they are definitely looking at KD. I still think when it's all said and done, Durant ends up still in the West, either San Antonio or possibly even Houston. I would think, for me, they would be the leading candidates. However, the Knicks dangling Karl Anthony Towns, I would imagine, is quite interesting to see if that's the way Matt Ishbia wants to go, the owner of the Suns, to bring in Karl Anthony Towns. He's no Kevin Durant, but he's an all-star, and he's younger. He's talented.
And he's got a big contract, so it works out to trade.
Exactly.
That's the big part of that. The Ishbia has taken over the sports world. Ishbia's brother has the agreement to, I guess, eventually purchase the White Sox from Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yeah, I saw that.
They've got an agreement that won't happen before, I think, 2029, I believe, is the earliest that will he'll actually take over, but it should be before 2034. But
how happy do you think White Sox fans are? Let's move on. Let's get new ownership in there. Let's get somebody who's going to spend some money.
Well, it's not working for the other Ishbia right now, so.
No, it's not, but I think it will. I think eventually it will. Ishbia is not afraid to spend money. And I don't know his brother from anyone, but I would imagine that he's got the resources as well. I mean, Reinsdorf just basically closed up shop as far as spending money. And the White Sox have not been a factor for a while.
The Ishbia family got a bit of money.
That's no ish.
They're doing pretty well. But yeah, I think I don't know if Matt will actually be a part of the White Sox.
I thought he was
ownership or not. I assume he probably will be, but and I don't know if the brother is involved with Phoenix at all. I don't know if he has any part of the Phoenix ownership or not with Matt.
The Jazz, according to reports, plan to explore trade scenarios for John Collins once he opts into his $26.5 million expiring contract. Averaged 18.9 points, 8.2 rebounds. Good numbers for a bad team. Utah almost dealt Collins in February, according to Evan Sidery, but it fell through ahead of the deadline. Doesn't say which team. Do you like John Collins?
Yeah, I like him. Certainly, he's a good player. Not sure how he fits with the Grizzlies, if that's what you're asking, but he's a good player.
Well, here's the thing. We talked about the injury to Edie, and we don't know the timetable yet because he hasn't had the surgery yet. But it's not expected to be some long-term thing where he's missing a bulk of the games. So, yeah, you have to address the situation because you certainly don't want to go into the season with Brandon Clark coming off a second straight injury and Jay Huff. And who knows, Santi, who's not really a big, he's just tall, whether or not they re-sign him, they probably will. But that's still a lack of front court players. But you don't want to make some big commitment because you know you're eventually getting Edie back. So I wonder how they handle something like that while also knowing that they really do need wing help. They have to address that. That has always been the talk for the last year about improving. I mean, They got lucky with Jalen Wells, getting him in the second round. He turned out to be the player that he turned out. He did hit a brick wall there late in the year, but you got to like the possibility for his future. Whereas you don't really know right now what G.G. Jackson's going to turn into, and even what Vince Williams is going to turn into. Is he going to be even close to what people thought he would be before he got hurt? So a lot of question marks, but now it's just an extra problem with this Edey injury, because I'm sure they were going in thinking, we don't have to worry about that. Edey, good first year on the all-rookie first team. He'll play this summer with the team. Off-season workouts will get bigger, not bigger, but stronger. And then he'll be ready to go, play in the summer league, as I said, and ready to go for camp and then the start of the season. Now that's derailed, but it's not like the locomotive has crashed. It's just derailed. It's off the track, and it'll come back on the track. So it's like you're weighing what to do. And then, of course, you're limited on what you can do from a financial standpoint, especially with the lingering Jaren Jackson Jr. contract coming up. So it's not easy, the decisions that have to be made by Zach Kleiman and company of what to do in this offseason, while also addressing what he said, what came out of his mouth, is that we're not even close. So that means we have to do something. We have to make some moves, whether or not it's a big move or not, that will depend, but you got to do something. And now they got another wrench kind of thrown into the whole thing.
Yeah, good. That's why this Edey thing, there's a lot of levels to it. But if they do make the decision that they feel the need to add a center of some sort, and again, you are going to try and do the renegotiate with Jaren and get under the cap, that changes the mathematics of it all, because you don't have a whole lot of money to spend. Now you're trying to add a center, possibly with some of that. Again, that's why I've said, if you think this roster is going to look much different for next year, you're going to be greatly disappointed.
Yeah, it's not going to look that much different, but it's going to look different to some degree, I would think. Now, again, what that addition or additions will be, who knows? Just wait and see. Wait to find out. Again, tomorrow on the program, we will talk NBA Finals as Game 3 will take place tomorrow night in Indiana, different locale. We'll see if the Pacers can strike first at home against the Thunder like they did in Oklahoma City to start the NBA Finals off. That, among many topics that we'll get to starting bright and early at 7 a.m. DeMichael Cole will join us to talk Grizzlies, talk about the Edey injury, and talk some NBA Finals as well. Our buddy Lawrence Dockery on soccer. They got a big match for the U.S. in Nashville tonight. We will talk about that with him, and also the latest as far as Team USA, their loss to Turkey, and some squabbling going on between players currently on the roster and former players. And then we'll talk Memphis Tigers basketball with Parth Upadhyay, who joins us each and every week. That, again, will begin tomorrow at 7 a.m. Well, though, and friends, on Sports 56 is coming up next. Dave is back. For Eli Savoy and for Elijah Seegers, I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.